wanted a hero.
I understand he has a background in intelligence.
He has 2 tours with naval intelligence.
Get him here.
He liked excitement.
Take us somewhere.
He wanted her. Their passion upset the balance of power.
What's all this top secret business I've been hearing about over the Pentagon?
You know I work for Bryce?
Then that makes 2 of us.
This one can do things for me like no other woman I've ever met.
Behind the cover-up,
Try and understand.
the power.
The important thing is to abort an investigation before it ever gets to you.
You haven't told me everything.
Who's running this thing at the Pentagon?
The new boy, Farrell.
So we can take the fall in case anything goes wrong.
The loyalty.
I love you. I promise I'll work everything out.
How did you actually meet the Secretary of Defense?
I need a car. It's an emergency.
These people have already tried to kill one person who knew.
Bring this one down.
No, you can't take that.
Behind the deceit.
If it were your intention to bring down David Bryce, then I'd have no choice but to make sure that you didn't get away with it.
They mean to kill me, Sam.
Because of the truth, there's no way out. Kevin Costner, Gene Hackman, Sean Young, Will Patton, no way out.
Hello and welcome to Clear and Present Dudes. My name is Mike Dunbar and I'm joined here by Sanya Björksen and my good friend Rory O'Toole. Please say hello.
Hello there.
Hi. Okay, cool. A little bit about ourselves. I am a warfare officer in the Royal Navy and I love thriller movies from the 1970s and 1990s. And Sanya?
I'm bringing also a naval officer in myself, unfortunately from the wrong side of the channel as I am a crowd spy on this podcast, but that doesn't stop me from enjoying the same things these 2 guys enjoy.
And Rory James O'Toole.
Hi, so I'm Rory O'Toole. I'm a good friend of Mike and Sanya for quite some time. Unlike Mike and Sanya, I'm not in the armed forces. I'm bringing to bear my interest in absolute cinema, politics and defence and national security kind of stuff that the guys are talking about. Just talk about the sort of theme of the podcast is sitting and hashing out films that are going to be predominantly from an era that begins in the late 60s and ends in the early 2000s, early 2010s. Films that are primarily going to be in the thriller kind of milieu. It's sort of an intersection of where cinema nerd-outs and the worlds of defence, espionage, intelligence, and national security wonkery just kind of intersect. So hopefully it's going to be entertaining, it's certainly going to be funny, and hopefully it's going to be funny for the right reasons. Let's go.
Dudes represents a clear and present danger to the national security of the United States.
You have no idea what men are
Yeah, man, absolutely. So for me, I picked the first one, No Way Out, 1987, because it's like the tool archetype for like this kind of movie. It's a political thriller. It involves national security. It's a bit sexy and horny and a bit weird. There's a crazy plot twist, and also R.I.P. Gene Hackman. He's very sadly departed from us only a few weeks ago as a key player in this movie. And we're going to see a ton of him in the rest of the movies we're going to be doing here, which is a wide remit. Okay, so a little bit of context on the movie then, I guess. Right, so 1987 came out the same year as The Untouchables, which was in June. No Way Out came in August. And then Costner goes on to have an incredible run here. So I didn't even mention it has Kevin Costner in. Fuck, hang on. Shit, sorry.
We're keeping that in, by the way. That's not being edited out.
Okay, sweet. The movie stars Kevin Costner, Gene Hackman, Sean Young, Will Patton, and it was directed by Roger Donaldson. And it came out in 1987, same year as The Untouchables, and it is the beginning of Kevin Costner's absolute heater run of movies. So he does From here, he does Bull Durham in 1988, then does Field of Dreams in 1989, The Gunrunner, and Revenge, and then Dances with Wolves in 1990, where he stars, directs, produces, wins 7 Oscars, including Best Picture, and then he's in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and made all of the United Kingdom listen to Bryan Adams for 17 weeks solid. And then he's in JFK in 1991, and then The Bodyguard in 1992, at which point he's a household name. He's unstoppable. He's one of the biggest players in Hollywood, right up until Waterworld in 1995. But even that doesn't really stop him, because look at him now. He's going strong with his Horizon movies and Yellowstone and all that good jazz. But it all starts here with The Untouchables and No Way Out. So No Way Out is a second adaptation of a book called The Big Clock by Kenneth Fearing, which I haven't read, and I haven't seen the original movie. But Rory, I think you have, haven't you?
Yeah, so I've looked a little bit into the films that were kind of spawned by the book The Big Clock. There is the film The Big Clock, the 1948 film noir, and there's also 357 Police Python, which is, you see, I thought with a name like that was going to be some insane American grindhouse kind of movie. It's actually a French film, so it's actually absolute cinema, just by dint of being French. I've flicked through the film The Big Clock. I've had a look through it. Interesting enough, it opens with a kind of similar scene to No Way Out, a kind of cityscape scene, but it's shot from below rather than above, and I think that's quite cool to see. That. So The Big Clock looks like a pretty cool film, to be honest. It's built around the very same premise. It appears to hit quite a few of the same kind of story beats that No Way Out hits. There's even the plot line of a kind of ticking clock as an image is being created. In the case of The Big Clock, there's an artist who's taken on who's seen the guy, and she's tasked with creating a sketch of him. However, in a truly bizarre turn for any kind of a film noir, I think she's like this cubist modern artist. So after this long, quite tense period of waiting for this woman to finish this sketch, it's just a bunch of shapes. It's brilliant.
That actually sounds amazing.
Yeah, man, it sounds dope. My first impression of the film is it's like 1948. It's a noir film. It's in that kind of era when you've got like the jet age aesthetic starting to come in. So you've got like the buildings are becoming more modernist, because I mean in a film noir, like the city's like a character, right? So it's interesting to see the architecture in it. It's interesting to see that as part of its storytelling, you know. And then I looked into 357 Police Python, and yeah, so this film is on the Internet Archive in its original French. It's on the Internet Archive in dubbed Spanish. Nowhere can I find it with English subtitles. The trailer, well, what appears to either be a trailer or just a mishmash of some scenes, does have English subtitles, and it follows a police officer who is basically tasked to find the guy who killed the mistress of his boss, and of course his boss killed his mistress. So that's the same kind of setup, really, with a very French fashion. One, the age gap between the detective and the girl is like massive. It's incredibly French. He looks like he's in his like late 40s. Admittedly, it was made in the 70s, so like everyone smoked 2 packets of cigarettes a day. You saw 21-year-olds who had skin like leather, but I think this guy's easily in his late 40s, early 50s. She's about 21. It's also very French because in this story, the boss, I guess, the chief. So his wife knows about it. His wife knows about the affair because obviously, it's French, you know. Oh, of course he's got a mistress. It just takes a bit of the work off me, you know. I mean, there's one scene in the clip when she literally answers a phone call from the girl and passes the phone to her husband. And there's a scene at the end of the kind of little trailer or clip show when when the chief comes home and his wife's like, "Oh my God, did you break up?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've killed her." She's like, "Oh God, oh dear." So like, if you kind of just contrast that with the Secretary of Defense's whole trying to be low key about it, this French guy's like, "Oh yeah, hey wife, this sucks. You know, that mistress you've known about for a significant amount of time, turns out I just killed her with an ashtray." You know.
Oh, that's incredible, man. That's weird. There's some like weird little connections to No Way Out in there as well. I mean, obviously it's the same
Yeah.
story, but like the
Yeah.
the wife of DefSec Bryce, like knowing about the affair and not really, she just doesn't want it to be there in public, but like is kind of otherwise ambivalent to it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and there's a bit where Tom Farrell is talking about wanting to go and buy some ashtrays as well. I wonder if that's meant to be a nod.
I wonder. I wonder if it is. Something I've got to mention about the big clock also is that it also features some kind of things like it's got like an operations room with like a bunch of people moving in to like kind of solve the clues and stuff. But because this is like set in like a publishing company, which has a crime magazine called Crime Ways, there's actually like a little board in the room that's got Crime Ways clue board written on it, and I just think that's delightful. I think that's brilliant. It's like, I love a film that's got an operations centre in it, especially if it's one that's been cobbled together and looks a little bit crap.
I love it. I love a movie with an ops room. Yeah, that's absolutely
Yeah,
true. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I really don't like. I don't like it when it's a really badass, slick looking like Operation Santa kind of thing.
Yeah.
When I had pneumonia, I knocked out season 2 of The Recruit in like I think 2 days, and I seem to recall like there's all these scenes in these really cool, slick rooms, and it's like I prefer it like when it's a beat ass office that's like just not ready for the job, like the scenes in the offices at the start of the Sum of All Fears, when it just looks like every kind of grotty admin office you've ever been in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it could easily it could easily be the office of like upstairs at the Wilkinson's shop in Cramlington, circa 2003. In fact, I worked there circa 2003, and yeah, it's the same kind of like vibe, I guess.
It's a supremely niche reference.
Same as in strange reference. A more kind of sidelong reference in a I'm gonna say it, the Fast and the Furious one, like the task force have just like set up in like just a vacant house they've just borrowed, and it's like I like that. I like an operations room that doesn't look fit for purpose. You know,
we should do a power rankings of all the best ops rooms in various movies. I'm quite partial to the bunker in Sink the Bismarck, which is just like, you know, your classic kind of World War. Like there's a big map like on the chart, like a big chart table, and there's like Wrens there like pushing the ships around with little sticks, and there's like a neutral plane of smoke from everyone's cigarettes like hanging in the sort of middle height of the room, like that kind of stuff.
You know, that kind of thing is actually just why I joined the Navy. And honestly, I just wanted a plexiglass board and a grease pen.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. A good Chinograph pencil, yes.
Yeah. Incredible.
So I suppose not to completely derail this conversation. I guess so. I'll tell you why. Yeah, any further? I guess we should probably have a quick talk about the movie that we're signing up to do here. About like why, what we thought of it. So obviously, I quite like it because I picked it. But I'd like to know what you guys thought of the movie, having you know what your experience was.
Well, I just watched it yesterday, just mainly in preparation for this, and it was throughout surprising. I mean, it was unexpectedly horny, which, in fairness, could have been expected, given that it involves Navy things, but without killing the suspense or taking away too much from the podcast. At the end, just absolutely hit me like a hammer, to be honest.
It's an all-timer twist. It's up there with like The Sixth Sense, I think, in terms of like qualities of like world-changing twist. Like Usual Suspects, Sixth Sense, No Way Out, like totally stands toe to toe, I think.
We should probably at this point say as well that there are going to be spoilers in this podcast. So
Big time.
if anyone, if anyone has not yet made themselves fully au fait with the horny 1987 masterpiece that is No Way Out, let's put this podcast on pause. We'll still be here when you return, and just go watch it. It's really good. But don't do what I did. Don't rent it on YouTube, because the YouTube cut is only like an hour and a half. Literally 30 minutes is excised from this film for YouTube. So after watching it, I was like, there's a few bits I don't remember here. Like, I mean, there's no sex scene in the limo, and the whole at sea sequence is gone. Like, it's just not in at all. The Manila stuff completely gone, apart from one very brief Tom drunk dials Susan. That's it. That's the entirety of the Manila stuff. So aside from that, I thought the film's great. I've seen it before when I was quite young. I do have a bit of a core memory of Sean Young. Gotta say,
I bet you do.
I do. I think this was the kind of time when it was these kind of thrillers from the 80s were the kind of film that you'd end up watching like as a family, but they were then surprisingly horny. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
like your dad would like rent it from like that sketchy video rental shop that was on High Pit Road.
Oh. Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, this is incredibly geo-specific.
We're gonna circle back to that at the end.
Yeah. But yes, it's like it's the kind of thing. So it's the kind of film when you could run into a lot of these in the 90s because they were coming on to like TV, they were coming on to like VHS rental, and they were a film that you'd watch as a family, and they were just very, very turned up. So straight away I was like shocked that they'd taken out one of the core elements of the film, which is just how absolutely turbo horny it is. This film's like Diamond Cutter non-stop, it really is. This film has a cob on for like its whole 2 hours. I thought it was an excellent piece of neo-noir work. I thought that it's probably some of Kevin Costner's best acting, which is kind of strange to say, but he's really good in it.
I agree.
And he's like an understated kind of good. He's very believable. His action sequences especially are really, really believable. I think that obviously the twist's fantastic. I love the idea of someone as well being told, "Oh, you've got to investigate yourself," kind of thing. There's I have a half remembered recollection of some novel that's about some police officer who's like trying to infiltrate. He's been ordered to infiltrate the cell of anarchists. I think it's like a 1920s and 1930s novel, and the final payoff is when he infiltrates the cell of anarchists. It's all full of other cops trying to infiltrate this anarchist cell. I love this like paranoid idea of like having to investigate yourself. I love that. It's a deeply paranoid film that looks at issues like power, obsession, the attractiveness of power, and what people will do to get it, what people will do to maintain it, how people act when it's all the desire, and what it does to people.
Yeah, man, absolutely valid point, man. There's a scene in there's a line in the final scene, Will Patton, where he says a great quote, which I think totally hits that exact thematic core that you just kind of alluded to there.
Which line's that?
Oh, it's you have no idea what men of power can do. That's what he says.
Men of power. I love that. Men of power. That's brilliant. I thought it was going to be the men of power thing. It's men of power. It's amazing. I like that line. I like that line because that's his obsession. His obsession is power, and his obsession is just being around it. He knows he's never going to be president, but he knows what he can do is be a social climber through the American political apparatus, through the Pentagon, by attaching himself to people who are powerful. He's a gross little lickspittle of a man, really. He's definitely one of the worst people in this film, which has some bad fucking people in it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. Hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves with all Pritchard, and we'll take a quick break, and then we'll go into the blow by blow of the movie. Okay, cool. Right, so the movie starts with this extremely extra music by Maurice Jarre, who was famous for Dr. Zhivago, Lawrence of Arabia, and we do this big long helicopter shot over Washington DC, and we start at the Capitol, and we go over all the sites. We linger on the Pentagon for a bit, and then just behind the Pentagon, there's this little suburban street with a detached house, and it zooms into the house, and then we go into a scene inside the house. And we first meet our main character, Kevin Costner, playing Lieutenant Commander Tom Farrell, and he's in his trop whites, what we'd call Top Gun rig, and there's bits of blood all over it, and he's being interrogated by two massive dudes. And one of them is staring at him so intently that he manages to explode a coffee mug in his hands by gripping it too hard.
Incredible.
And then they ask him, hey, how do you know the Secretary of Defense? And he says, look, a man who I went to college with introduced them, a guy called Scott Pritchard. And then he gets up and he's angry. He's like really pissed off. And he walks to a two-way mirror and he goes, when's he going to come out from behind there? Referring to some other guy who we haven't seen yet. And then it goes 6 months earlier and we're off to the races.
Yes.
Next scene. This is the next scene is superb. I love this. Right, so it's a big function. Kevin Costner gets out of a car. He's been driven there. He's wearing his dress blues number 2's rig. So he's wearing a cap. He's wearing white gloves. He's wearing the dinner jacket. He's wearing a yellow cummerbund. Which, if we're tracking the clues as to the film's conclusion, which if you haven't seen the movie already and you haven't heeded the spoiler warning, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. He's a spy, a Russian spy. Clue 0 might be that he's wearing a yellow cummerbund because he's not afraid of coloured drinks getting spilled on it. Because they only drink vodka, right? So
they do. Stoley, straight up.
Yes, right. Okay, so that's clue 1. But yeah, sorry, that bit did not land. Right. Okay, so I'm gonna start all that again and not do that bit. Right. So
you should leave it in. To be honest, mate, I thought you were like going a different direction. I thought you could be like, well, you see, he's wearing a yellow cummerbund because that's a reference to, and then some really sidelong thing about well, you know, this particular Soviet working rig or dress rig has the color yellow in it or something, or like, you know.
Or something is yellow like the Yellow River, which is famously in China, which is still communist, so he's clearly a commie spy because he's wearing yellow. Or yellow used to be the
Yellow's in the flag. Yellow's in the flag. It's the hammer and sickle, baby.
Yeah, or it's like it used to be the color that of dresses that prostitutes in the Middle Ages used to wear. So he's clearly a man for hire.
Absolutely, actually, he really is. He really is, man. I mean, this man slinging.
He's living on the back for the Soviet Union.
That's the connection.
And I just want to say as well regarding regarding college. Oh my God, they were roommates.
Oh my God, they were roommates.
It's because of the implications.
Oh my God, they were roommates.
Right. So we're at Tom arriving at the function in the first scene. So Tom's arriving at the function, and we see our female lead, Susan Atwell. So what's happening is they're going through security to get into this function, and there's security guys there with like a hoodlum metal detector, And this is how we meet Sean. So she's getting buzzed by one of these things. And we can tell immediately that she's like this bored woman with extremely weird hair. It's just in some weird updo that has not aged well at all. They've really done her dirty. And she's getting scanned by a metal detector. And she says, wearily, "Thank God it's not a bullshit detector, or else none of us would get in." And this tells us that she's bored. And also she's over Washington. And she's sick of the vibes. And then we kind of like work the room a bit. We meet Scott Pritchard, who's this like as you said, like this horrible little wretched little sneevely man, and his vibes are way off the charts. And he meets Tom, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you want to work at my department? I saw that note you sent." And he's like, "It's a Christmas card, and it said Merry Christmas." Like, this guy's fucking a lunatic. And then we cut around and we see, it's such weird vibes. And then
he's a weird guy.
And then we cut round. He says so many weird things in this movie, and he says them in such a weird voice as well. Like the voice work he's putting on, because he doesn't sound like that in real life. He's doing this kind of weird. Yeah. Is it Southern? Is it Yankee? I do not know, and my American wife won't tell me. I don't know what his voice is. And then
he's like evil Niles Crane at times.
Yes, that is exactly it. He's like the dark version of Niles Crane. He's got the same hair.
Yeah, he's got the same swimmer's build.
Yeah, yes, he has. Oh my god. Yeah, that's who he is. That's exactly who he is.
You know what it is? He's like Niles with all the safeties off.
Yeah, this is it. And we see that like almost immediately. So we cut around, we see Secretary Bryce. Secretary Bryce's wife sees Pritchard and goes, "Oh, Scott's here," and runs over. And then he introduces Secretary Bryce to Tom, and Bryce doesn't give a flying fuck. He's just like, "Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You're in the Navy, are you? Right, cool." And then Pritchard's like, "We were at college together," and he's like, "That's good," and just keeps walking. And then Tom says, "Oh, he's warm, isn't he?" And then Pritchard goes, "He's a genius. The normal rules don't apply." And then he goes like way high and right and goes like, "He's the most extraordinary man I've ever met in my life. And if it came to it, I'd lay down my life for him. Like, sir, we are at a function." But
you're scaring you are scaring the women.
You're scaring the wives.
Stop it! You're scaring the wives. You're ruining the vibes.
But exactly. But hey, I'm no screenwriter, but this is what we call in the business, I think, foreshadowing. And then one of my favorite things happens. We hear "Hail to the Chief" play, and then the president arrives, and we don't see him, which I think is really smart, because then we can just imagine it's Ronald Reagan. But also it's because Tom is checking out Susan Atwell. So he's starting to do his like moves. She notices him looking. They're both looking at each other. This is the first real evidence of the movie being like off the scales horny, because like the president has walked into the room and these guys are already decided they want to fuck. So then almost immediately Tom is like making a beeline towards her. She whips out a cigarette. She's trying to get it lit. She does something which I think is absolutely unhinged at this point. She stood a level higher than the people. Like there's like a guardrail, and then there are people at tables down below, and it's a little tiny man who she asks for a light, and he gets his cigarette lighter out, tries lighting it, and because his eye line is like directly level to her tits, she then goes, "If you want to look down my top, maybe you should be a little bit taller, or maybe you shouldn't stand on a platform that's like another 2 feet taller than he is." But as soon as that happens, Tom is there, like arm fully outstretched, flame already coming from the lighter, ready to take over. Like, right, fucking stand by, shipmate. The Navy's here. And then he's straight in there, and then he's like, "You're pretty impressed with me." And she's like, "No." He's like, "Yes, you are." And then he walks to the bar. And then she's a bit like, "Oh fuck, he's right. I am impressed with him, and I am going to just follow him to the bar, like the pathetic little scoundrel that I am." And then she goes straight there. And then this is when clue one happens, where he orders a Stolly straight up.
Straight up.
And it's not the trend. And I don't know much about vodka from the 1980s, but apparently Smirnoff was the trendy vodka. So the fact that it's Stolly is like, oh, this guy is hardcore into his vodkas. And only fucking Soviet spies and nobody else are into their vodkas.
I wonder as well if when I think about it, this is actually seeing pickup artist techniques work, which is a bit scary. Isn't it?
Yeah, they work in the context of this fictional universe where
Absolutely, that's absolutely scary that you see them work in the film. Yeah, but I mean,
yeah, but it's the world's most unhinged woman as well. Like she's
that
a
is true.
safeguard lunatic, and I don't think
Yeah,
it's meant. I don't think she's meant to be a lunatic. It's just how Sean Young's playing her. I think.
it's
But
it's,
we'll
it's
never
just like
know.
the energy that Sean Young brings. Yeah,
Her eyes
there's
are
something
like
going
never.
on there. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. So they have their drink.
yeah,
They have
something.
a really short chat about how they don't want to be here. I think what's happening is the band strikes up a really fucking weird cover of "Do You Think I'm Sexy?" like Rod Stewart, which is weird because up to that
Again,
point they've
gone
just been
from the
playing.
YouTube cut.
Yeah, all right, this is amazing. So before then, they've just been playing shit like Little Brown Jug and stuff, and
Yeah,
then suddenly the band's like, the guy, the band leader, is like yelling out into the audience, like, "Do you think I'm sexy?" I said, "Do you think I'm sexy?" And then it starts like, bow, no, bow, no, bow, now, brr. And then there's like a woman stood on the stage who's like dancing next to him. And then Sean Young says, in what I think is probably the first occurrence of like that sort of Buffy the Vampire speak that was made popular like another sort of 10 years later. She's like, "Oh, I think
yeah,
there's a NASA situation developing here." And he's like, "Do you want to get out of here?" And then they immediately leave, having spoken to each other for about 30 seconds. And then they go into
yeah.
what is the famous, I don't know if it is famous, but the famous limo sequence. I'm going to take
I
a
would
brief
say
pause
it's very
here.
famous.
Yeah, I'm going to take a brief pause here and ask what your opinion of the limo sequence is. Did you even see the limo sequence on the YouTube cut, Rory?
It's not on the YouTube cut. There's no swearing in the YouTube cut. The cutout, bizarrely, the cutout the whole bit with the ambassador from New Zealand, I think, and the Maori dancers and stuff. Because my first clue that I wasn't going insane, because I do have a tendency to gaslight myself. I was thinking, well, I mean, maybe there wasn't that much heavy fucking in the film, and I was just kind of imagining things. But then when I saw like the credits at the end of it, and it's like, oh, Maori dancer 1, Maori dancer 2, it's like, hold on a minute, and then I'm like comparing the run times and stuff. So yeah, so no, I am aware of that particular scene. But yes, so much of the film's taken out. All of the swearing's gone. The bullshit attacker scene's gone. The whole "you sick fuck" bit, that's gone. It's
Yeah,
crazy. It's crazy.
that's wild. Okay, so here we go. I'm just gonna have to tackle it. Just to rip off the band-aid. So they get into this limo.
Yeah.
And then a diabolically bad song by Paul Anka starts. This is from the golden age of writing a song for the movie and calling the song and having a lyric from the song be in the movie. So it works in Bond movies. I think it only works in Bond movies. But this is not a Bond.
It also works in Black Dynamite.
Yeah, it works about Dynamite. I'll give you that. Yeah, Dynamite. But in this. So this is like a proper this is like one of those mush 80s ballads that it leaves absolutely no impression on you. And all I can remember from it, and I've listened to it about 4 or 5 times in watching the movie over to prepare for this, and it's just him going like, "No way out." That's all I can remember.
Oh God!
You'll hear the song; it'll pass immediately out of your memory like you never heard it. The song itself gives you anterograde amnesia. But it's important though because the scene goes on forever and ever and ever, and I'm assuming it's because Paul Anka demanded that the entire song is played like from start to end in the movie. So this goes on for about 4 minutes, but it's going to feel like about 15. So we start the scene. They're in the back of this limo. The screen is down, so the driver is just there. And this could have gone either way, but in this particular instance, the driver's really enjoying it. And then Kevin is like stripping her down, and we don't cut around this. Like we see the whole thing. We see him like taking the top off to reveal her bra. We see her like pulling her stockings off. It goes on for ages. And apparently during this bit, Kevin Costner and the limo driver improvised some dialogue with each other. So he's like, "Hey man, how you doing? What's your name?" He's like, "Bill." "Hey, how you doing, Bill? Do you mind shutting down the slide?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, sorry." And he brings the slide up. and then Sean Young, again being a bit crazy, goes, "Sorry, Bill." And then and this is my favorite bit. As the slide goes up, we cut to like a slash cut to the Washington Monument, erect and lit by floodlights. And this obviously symbolizes Kevin Costner's erect penis. And you think, brilliant, that's the end of the scene, cool. But no, it cuts back. And then we see yet more of them making out. And then it cuts to like another monument in Washington that I don't know as well. And then a couple more, and which is implying that this is going on for a very, very long time. So the limousine, we have to assume, by the time they've got to their destination, is in an absolute state. It stinks. And that's important because of the next scene. I was
going to say, yeah. It smells crazy in there, man.
Yeah. All right. So then the limo arrives at Susan's friend's apartment. We don't know that initially. She just rocks up to the apartment, starts bashing on the door, and he's like, "Did you forget your key?" And she's like, "No, I have a key from my apartment." And then the door is answered, and it's answered by Iman, the supermodel who was married to David Bowie, because it's the 80s. And Susan ejects her from her flat and says, "Hey, get in the limo. Go back to my place. I've got food and I've got booze at home. I just need to fuck this guy in your flat. And if the phone rings, just ignore it. But no one's going to call. Don't worry about it. But I need to fuck this guy here in this secondary location. And to make that plain to you, I'm going to take off my coat right now so you can see my naked breasts in the middle of your hallway."
Also enjoy the absolute stinking and stained limo on the way back.
Well, yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
It's absolutely wretched. She's the worst friend. And this is another subtle clue that Susan might be not a totally compos mentis person.
That's incredibly unhinged. I love it.
And then so that happens, and then it kind of fades out, and the next cut we go to is like an undisclosed amount of time has passed. They're in the back of a taxi. Tom is now dressed in full dress blues #1s, and he's shipping up to go on deployment. So we don't know how long they've been together for, but they've kept it going. So you assume with that kind of energy that would be a one-nighter, but no, he stuck around.
Yeah, man.
Boom! Next shot is an Adams-class destroyer shot in day for night, smashing through a sea state 4. Nerd fact, specifically, this is USS Cochrane in real life. In the movie, you see them all wearing ball caps, and the ball caps say USS Billings. Right, next thing we see, it's night. Tom is walking up to the bridge. I'm going to assume this is somewhere in the middle watch, so between midnight and 4 in the morning. And the officer of the watch goes, "A little early for you to be relieving me," meaning that Tom holds, I presume, the dog's morning watch, so 0400 to 08. Which is a bit weird because he's a lieutenant commander, and you wouldn't expect him to be an officer of the watch on a ship of that size. But hey, whatever. I'm just a nerd. They discuss how the state of they're in some heavy weather. Sorry, go ahead, Sanya.
So professional nerd.
Oh yeah, well, thank you. Yeah. So they have a short exchange. The standing officer of the watch and Tom about the state of the heavy weather, because he could feel the ship had started slamming into some heavy weather a bit, and they say, "Look, you're shipping green to the forecastle. Have you rang? You got a lookout closed up there?" And he's like, "Yep. As per standing orders, there's a lookout closed up on the forecastle." And Tom's like, "Have you told the captain?" And the officer watch says something absolutely demented. He goes, "No. Do you want to be the one that wakes him up?" "Yes, man. Yeah, you do." Like that's what he gets paid the big bucks for, and he's going to want to know. So, super nerd fact, but ship CEOs normally have a set of night orders they give to the officer of the watches for ship driving orders, instructions overnight, and normally there's some standing ones that are normally always in there. And if it's sustained high winds and sea state, they're going to want to know about that so that they can pass judgment on it. The right thing the officer of the watch should have done here is stop being a fucking pussy, call the captain, but before he even did that, he should have brought the lookout in and said, "Look, we don't need a lookout on the forecastle because this is 1987 and radar exists." And it isn't reduced visibility by the looks of things as well. It's like a clear night as well. So it's like, what's this going on here? Anyway, shit officer the watch. Next thing that happens, they talk about a Russian sub that's meant to be in the area and how they're meant to catch up with it. Let me just tell you right now, that lookout is not going to see a Russian sub. And then Tom makes an offhand remark about how he's not that bothered about doing so. He's like, "Oh, yeah, okay. We find him, then, it'll be over for all of us." This is clue number 2, that he's not interested in looking for the Russian sub, and he's trying to subvert the ship in its mission for doing so. But then before that gets to develop forward anymore, the bosun's mate makes a big loud LVA that the forward lookout is down and he's fallen over. And I've got opinions about this. So they scramble a special rescue detail to retrieve the man while the general alarm sounds. Hey, guess what? The captain's awake. And then Tom... yeah, sorry, man. I'm just getting real zesty at this officer watch who doesn't exist.
I mean, I brought it up yesterday, so...
Yeah, right? Because it's fucking bullshit. And then Tom runs out onto the forecastle to rescue the guy, okay? And it's painted like he's a hero. And I know why they've done it. For plot reasons, they need to get a picture of him in the paper. They need to be heroic. They couldn't have enemy action taking place because he can't just leave the ship then after that, I guess. So they've had to make it into this bizarre near-miss situation. But let me just tell you right now, the forward lookout was wearing an arrestor wire, which did its job. He didn't wash overboard. He washed over the guardrail, but if he put some effort in, he probably could have got himself back up again. But he was safe in the meantime while the party that were getting rigged to go out there and rescue him. Tom was not wearing the arrestor wire and made himself a potential man overboard casualty. And if he'd gone overboard, he would have died. 100% would have died. Overall, this incident would not have left the ship. They might have put in a sort of near miss kind of report if that kind of culture even existed in the late 80s in the US Navy. I'm not convinced it probably did. But this would have been so embarrassing because they would have started peeling back the layers. They'd been like, hang on a minute. So let me get this straight. Like one of your PWOs probably got up in the middle of the night, went to the bridge. You were in rough weather, but the officer of the watch still had a lookout closed up, and he didn't order for the lookout to come back in or past that. None of you called the captain. The guy got washed overboard, and then you were out on your own without an arrestor wire in to bring him back in. Why didn't you call the captain? And captain, why haven't you got better control of your officers? Just a load of fucking shit. So that was to me, like military, like fucking naval wise, fucking diabolical situation. Shouldn't have the ship. A total embarrassment. Tom's not a hero. He's a fucking idiot. Anyway, next scene. Then we cut to Tom's picture in the paper, and Senator Bryce is reading it. Right, so Gene Hackman, Senator Bryce. They're having they're on a rooftop garden overlooking the Capitol and the Washington Monument and all that good stuff. And he's waiting for Scott Pritchard, his assistant, to come and arrive. And then when he does, they're talking about their big deal they have going on at the Defense Department at the moment, which is the procurement of a new type of submarine called the Phantom Sub. And it's this giant submarine that's supposed to be the size of an aircraft carrier. It's costing a ton of money, but through the lumbering behemoth that is the military-industrial complex, it's going to find its way to fruition if it isn't killed dead by Secretary Bryce, and he wants to kill it. And you know what? Say what you want about this guy. I mean, obviously he murdered his girlfriend and everything. That's pretty bad. But he's right about this. Simple physics dictates you can't hide an aircraft carrier underwater. You can do things to reduce your acoustic emissions, but not that much, shipmate. And he even pretty much says so in the movie. So that's pretty right. Anyway,
I find all of this thing about the whole. Sorry, that's button sound. The bit about the whole submarine mission creep thing is really interesting to me because, I mean, the film tells us that there's this massive bloated defense procurement plan for this gigantic submarine based on the fact that they think there's some mythical Russian submarine that they're gonna be combating with it, and it's like sounds a bit like Hunt for Red October for a start, which is brilliant. But I just do love the idea that. Like it sort of was it the F-15 project was born out of the American paranoia that the Russians had some insanely super fast interceptor that they just didn't have, and I'd find that interesting.
Yeah, man. So I don't want to talk out of school here about my own experiences with military procurement because I don't want to bring my service into disrepute. Not that I am equipped enough to be able to do that. I don't have all the inside track, but from the stuff that you've seen in open media about the procurement of the QE class carrier and the Type 45 destroyer, like a lot of these projects they're decided long time ago, and there's a lot of effort that goes into getting a design together, and a design freeze happens, and then like we're talking 10-15 years later we're finally cutting steel. So what you have is like these projects that are handed over to people after people after people, with like very little continuity. There's the number of people who were at the very beginning, let's say, of the QEC project, who were still there at the final delivery of HMS Queen Elizabeth. Like, it can't be that many, especially not the ones in military as well, who are pretty much moving on after like 2 years, probably much, in each job. You might have some mod civil servants who saw the majority of it, but again, like, it's such a long period. It's unlikely that someone would have stayed the whole time, and that's pretty much what's going to be happening with this Phantom sub here. So they mentioned in the movie a handful of different. Well, they mentioned one contractor, something called Gulf Marine. So that basically what happens with these things is you have a government-facing procurement agency. So for the military, the HM Armed Forces, it's the Defence Equipment and Support Agency, DENS, and they are like essentially the project managers of an acquisitions project. For the RN, we have the blue side of things, which is Navy AC as well. So they are the people who are responsible for putting together the ask, and DNS are the people responsible for putting together the project management of it delivering in. And then on the other side of that, what you've got is all of the contractors and the various other companies and corporations that are involved as the delivery kind of thing, the OEM, the equipment, original equipment manufacturer. So what will happen is Navy will say to DNS, we need an aircraft carrier. It needs to be able to do these things. They put together that proposal, send it out to tender, and all these other companies come along and start working on it. The problem that you get, and I think what's being alluded to in this movie, and I have absolutely no evidence for happening in the UK, I should say, is in thriller movies anyway, is that there's a shit ton of corruption, isn't it? It's all glad handing, it's job for the boys, and it's all that kind of stuff. And that's like totally the space we're operating in this movie. So it seems weird that this is like a little sort of it gets like 2 scenes in the movie where they talk about the Phantom sub. But to me, it is like the modus operandi of the movie, because like this is clearly the reason why Tom is being positioned where he is. Like as in by his handlers. So whilst it isn't given much, and I quite like this movie for like trusting the audience to like figure all that out, like to figure out that, all right, okay, there's a Phantom sub that clearly America wants to build, and this guy wants to kill it. Let's put a guy right next to him who's going to undermine him, so that they definitely build this awful submarine, so that we can easily find this terrible submarine.
Yeah.
Cool. That was a bit of an aside. Next, we go to Manila. So, man, I love this sequence. So it's so short, but it's so good. So Tom, shore leave in the Philippines. It hits within like 30 seconds all the classics for being out in the Far East in a movie like this. So the very first thing you see is a couple of Asian prostitutes. Straight away, boom, Asian prostitutes. Then you get the next thing you get is this little kid who's like trying to scam them, and it's really obvious.
Can I just? If I've not paid all too much attention to the Phantom sub theme throughout the film itself, unfortunately, but you've just brought it to my special attention again, and I've got a giant, bloody large book on Cold War submarines in front of me right now. And that would actually, given the procurement times and the construction idea times, that will actually add up with the US starting to develop the Seawolf class, which is, well, would have been of particular interest for the Soviet Navy.
Yeah, absolutely.
We started building them in the 90s, so if you're in the 80s and they're doing stuff, and in the 80s, throughout the 90s, they were still building the Ohios and just started building them as well. So this is a very niche, nerdy thing to do right now, but submarine
This is a very niche, nerdy podcast, Sanya.
The Cold War has been rather much faster than military procurement is today, I think.
Yeah. Oh, because there's way more money in it. Yeah. it's totally different from nowadays. I think the timelines and also the complexity of the equipment. I think is I think I don't know if it was faster back then because the equipment wasn't as advanced. I don't really know, but I think now the sheer amount of automation that they put into ships takes them quite a lot longer. I think to get those things figured out in the development stage. But that's a really good point. And while we're on the subject of the submarine one more time, like coming out pretty shortly after this movie, as you mentioned earlier on, Hunt for October, and then Gene Hackman, of course, would go on to be in Crimson Tide. So that guy loves submarines. So back to Manila. Right. So right, little kid running a scam. Clue number 3. Okay, this bag drop with the little street urchin. So he hands him the bag, even though he knows it's going to be a scam. Him and his Officer of the Watch pal go chasing after the kid, but he stops him. He's like, "No, let him go. What's he got? He's just got a bag with some skivvies in it and a toothbrush. No big deal." And that's obviously mentioned in the final scene, where he does say, like his handler does say to him, "Oh, your little joke in Manila with the bag of underwear wasn't appreciated by the grown-ups, but ha 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 ha." always a sense of humor with you. And then it cuts. Oh, then he says to his friend he's going to go and look to buy some ashtrays, and then he's going to go and sample some of the local folk dancing. Cut to a titty bar, and then this is amazing. So I don't really understand why he does this. He's in a titty bar in Manila, but it doesn't matter how many Filipino tits he sees. He really wants to talk to Susan. So he's trying to connect a call with her through a payphone that's next to the bar. And he eventually gets the call to connect. It takes ages. And then she picks up the phone and she hears the sound of the titty bar. And I thought, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, she's just like annoyed because it's the sound of a titty bar and just hangs up. But no, she hears Tom talking, but then she has to hang up because her super jealous paramour walks into the room. So she hangs up the phone and then Bryce walks in and it's horny old Defense Secretary Bryce. So that's who she's with, besides Tom. And then Tom in response to this, and I think this is probably in the script, but I would love it to be an ad-lib. Tom just tears the phone off the wall, and then he orders a beer.
Yes.
Which of us hasn't done that? To be fair.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
actually, I don't know if you know this, but payphones from the bar are free. I keep several payphones in my office.
You can just take them. The elites don't want to know that.
Doesn't want to know this, but you can totally hook up stolen payphones to secure lines as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. So
Pubs would still let people use their landline to make a phone call. Do you remember that, Meg? Or am I just old?
oh my god, yeah, I do remember that. I don't know why online forms still have a landline on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, man.
Good times.
Yeah, sorry though, that was just a total
And now on to mourning the death of the fax machine.
Oh, well, if we're going to talk about media that prints, you've come to the right movie, man. So
we'll get to that one later.
Document.
So that was his deployment. So he basically sailed to Manila, got himself involved in a terrible health and safety incident, did some property damage, and now he's flown home. So the next thing we see is Farrell getting out of a car, arriving back at his flat. His rig now is Trop 3s, which is what he's going to be wearing for pretty much the rest of the movie. And then he goes in, he sees his ethnically uncertain landlord, because he doesn't have a very strong accent, because I think that would give the game away too much. So he's just got an accent from somewhere. And then he drops in on Susan straight away, and she calls him the Ancient Mariner, lol, which is funny because Kevin Costner would then play the Mariner in Waterworld. And then it's really apparent, and this is another subtle clue that Susan might not be all there. So this is like the middle of the day, right? And she is blitzed, like she's playing it like heavily drunk, right? And she's being, I don't know if this is Sean Young being weird again. And then what happens is he picks her up because the script, I guess, demands that he picks her up and takes her to bed. Although I would say that this is ethically not really on because she's so drunk. Anyway, she again does deliver some kind of Buffy the Vampire Slayer level dialogue. She's like, I wrote you, but I'm semi-literate, so it was wastebasket time. If you caught gonorrhea, I'll kill you. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? and it's like blink and you miss it. But this woman has like no personality, like apart from just being really weird all the time.
And wasted. And how she announces, "I'm wasted" when he comes in, like she's been literally not just day drinking, she's been breakfast drinking. She's like breakfast martinis with the girls, and by the girls I mean just me, and by breakfast martinis I mean half a bottle of Stolly, straight up.
Bloody Mary, hold the tomato juice. And then
Bloody Mary, neat.
yeah. And this is the, and I think this might be the performance that Tommy Wiseau was looking at when he thought, this is how I'm going to play Johnny drunk in the room.
Oh my god!
I'm tired.
Jesus,
I'm wasted. I love you, darling. Just like it's the same character.
Nice facts.
Yeah. So Tom's carrying her up to bed, right? And he carries it into her bedroom, and this is good because we got a nice geographical layout of the room she's going to get killed in later. But he carries her to the bedroom, and she makes exactly, and then she makes some kind of oblique reference to how Tom's about to raw dog her. And Tom finds this a bit much, and he starts to blush. And then a whole bunch of stuff happens in like 20 seconds. So like, she receives a phone call. And because she's so paranoid about the phone call, she yanks the phone out of the wall and puts it on the floor, which we don't even look at because the camera is panning away to Tom as he's about to hide behind a curtain for some reason at the same moment. It's really nuts. And then she gets up, runs across, the camera pans back, and she picks up a Polaroid camera to take a picture of Tom because he's blushing. And then Tom, this is clue number 4, Tom says in a super serious, like not fucking around way, "No pictures." and then eventually he starts laughing. But he, obviously, what intelligence operative wants their photo taken? Not this one. And then eventually he kind of chills out and relaxes. They do take a photo, but at the precise moment he takes the photo, he looks off to the left, which is not, which is a goof. There's a little goof, potential error by the filmmaker, because later on we go into the Polaroid. But anyway, then Susan then looks at Tom's penis. Like he stood up, she's like on the edge of the bed, and she's like, "You probably haven't seen any of this, Rory." And then she's like caressing like his junk, and then she says a sentence which is so incredible that I'm gonna leave you in suspense until we talk about our favorite quotes in the movie at the end. It's absolutely insane, and I am convinced this wasn't in the screenplay, and it had to be from Sean Young's mind. It's so twisted. So that's that, and then finally the movie starts and we go to the Pentagon. I think we've discussed already maybe that quite a lot of the movie was actually shot in the Pentagon, including in the actual Defense Secretary's office at some points. And you see like a lot of these really long hallways, like you see the NATO hallway with all the flags in it and stuff. So like it is legitimately the Pentagon, which I think is kind of amazing access.
It's wild to me, bearing in mind the kind of content of the film.
Yes.
I wonder how much of this was kept from the Pentagon. I wonder how much the DoD actually knew about.
Oh yeah, big time.
As far as the subject of the film went, I mean, it's like, yeah, we're just making a thriller. It's actually pretty patriotic, guys. Yeah, no, yeah. No, it's
so guys, we're just done filming her boobs. Can we have the Situation Room for a minute?
Yeah. It's like, right, okay. That's it for titty shots. Let's do the serious stuff. Let's get back to the Pentagon and do it properly. Okay, it's absolutely crazy.
What?
Show me the big computers with the tapes.
You know what? I really want to exist though. I really want that to exist somehow. I really want that to somehow exist behind the scenes footage when Sean Young somehow got herself into the Pentagon and she was just wandering around like day drunk, out of character, just day drunk. It's just Sean Young, just like talking to random like random fucking 06s and stuff, and being like, "Hi, I'm Sean Young. I've got borderline personality disorder. I'm drunk. I'm going to steal some stationery now. You know, just like, yeah, it's like Sean Young like walks into like the ladies' toilets on like the 5th floor and like sets the toilet paper on fire just because she's Sean Young. It's like, can't help being a Pisces.
Yes. Oops, I'm a Capri Sun.
Sorry, guys, but the vibes are wrong, and I'm gonna just do some arson now. I think she's great.
Yeah, she's just gonna hold her boobs into the face of the chief of naval operations and then taunt him for being short or something.
Yeah,
It's like, look at this, little man. All of your war machine can't get this. That just walks out.
amazing. I would like to say that actually Sean Young brings an important energy to this movie. Like if she'd just been a bit less of an interesting character, I don't think this movie would have worked as well. And I don't think it would have her character being alive for as long as she's alive in this movie, considering she's the inciting incident, wouldn't have worked. I don't think if she'd been like less interesting to watch. The fact that she's like absolutely nuts, and it's probably quite divisive. Like some people probably hate her, but I think she's incredible. Like she's got like a manic expression on her face the whole time. And it's just so weird. And like if you go from like people our age, like we first see Sean Young, and for a lot of us, only see Sean Young in Blade Runner, right? To go from her performance as Rachel in Blade Runner to this, like a few years later, like those 5 years were hard years for Sean Young because like some, you know, she must have been like struggling. She probably thought she was going to get a big break when Blade Runner did so well. And she kind of did some other bigger stuff, but like she was really struggling to get taken seriously and just get the big roles. And I think she was getting market corrected by people like Michelle Pfeiffer and stuff. So yeah, hard time.
But I think she brings this. Yeah, I think she brings like a fantastic energy to the film, and I think she was probably hard to replace in that role as well.
Yeah, I was trying to like rack my brain for like who would work instead of Sean Young because the character is so unique. She's like. She seems at once like really worldly, but and bored. Like when she's like arriving to these sort of soirees and stuff. But she has like a real naivety when she's doing like the sexy stuff. Like she's almost play acting what she thinks a sexy person is like. And it's just hits is like this is like maybe like the kind of mentality of like a teenage girl maybe, which I know sounds like this. I'm not trying to be derogatory about her or women or anything. I'm just saying like her character just comes across as someone who's a lot more naive than she lets on when she's got her armor on, when she's all suited and booted for these soirees and stuff. Like when she's with Tom, she kind of like strips down to this kind of like really weird, vulnerable, but also like manic state. It's so weird. Like, you can't tell if it's chemically induced or if she is just generally that happy. It's so weird. Yeah. So progressing with the movie, I guess. So Tom, we basically catch him arriving at the Pentagon. He goes straight to the DefSec's office, and Bryce gives him a little brief about what his job is. He says he's going to be his assistant and he's going to be a liaison between his office and the CIA, because what he wants is he wants the DoD to do a little bit of spying on the CIA to find out all the data that they've got on the Phantom submarine. So what he believes, what Bryce is pretty paranoid about, is that they're going to try and push through the Phantom submarine by over-egging the numbers and how good it is. He wants the raw data so he can refute those claims and kill the project. Then, as we've discussed already about the submarine thing, then Tom is shown down to the Situation Room by one of my favorite characters in the movie, this weird little bitch-ass sub-lieutenant, whose career path I can't possibly fathom. Like why are there sub-lieutenants running around in the Pentagon? Like, who give them security clearance? Like, these guys don't know their ass from their elbow. Like, what's going on? Like, no, well, hang on a minute. Okay, that might have come off wrong. It's like,
listen.
That's not what I meant, Sanya. But like, what I mean is, so you believe in your heart of hearts, you should be.
As if 1,000 subbies cried out in pain and then was silenced.
We've all been one before, man. Like we all know what it's like. So, you know, like you don't know your job yet. That's the whole thing. But I think maybe this guy might have some influential family, and maybe that's why they're there. I don't know if they let sub-lieutenants into the Pentagon, into the Situation Room of the Pentagon. If they are, please write in, let me know. Cool. Tom busts his chops, as he should, and then he sees his old pal.
They do have Germans.
Exactly right. I mean, like, they often joke, like, if you're in a place like the Pentagon, like, even if you're a commander, you're probably still like the least senior person in the room, and you're probably making the wets. Like, a sub-lieutenant's got no chance. So then Tom sees his old friend Sam Hesselman again, who we presume must be from like when he was at the Office of Naval Intelligence or something. And this is one of the cool things in the movie. This guy's a wheelchair user, and it's never mentioned once in the movie. It's like one of the only things that I think ages well.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a few opinions about Sam as well. A few things I kind of noted when I was watching the film. I like how he appears to be one of the first iterations of the kind of quirky forensics guy, the kind of quirky forensics guy in a military / law enforcement setting that eventually kind of builds up to like the kind of total quirk lord characters we see, like Abby in NCIS, who's like just like a hot topic shop exploded inside the lab, you know,
Yeah.
with his sticker as, of course I'm drug driving, I'm not a stuntman. I like that.
Yeah.
I've also got a theory about him because,
Oh.
and this is just because this is me being noticing wardrobe kind of things. I noticed that he's got his watch turned round a la John Wick in, you know, that military fashion that people that like in like John Wick, it's used to show when he's going into action, he turns his watch around so the face is looking at him. He has his still suit rigged desert fashion, but no, like with his watch being all John Wickified and you know, in what people think of as in terms of visual storytelling as it's what military guys do. I wonder if I wonder if he's actually ex-forces and got himself injured, and then with his GI Bill he went to college and became a computer science guy. And I like that for him. I love that for him.
Hey man, that's a really good theory, because like he's also cutting about in one of those like hunting like vest things with all the pockets on it, and I like to imagine he probably had that in his life, like before the accident, before the IAD or whatever it was, like. Yeah, he probably like used to do a lot of hunting and stuff, and that's why he still has it. And now he just carries loads of pens and shit in it.
Yeah, and now he's and now the hunting he's doing is forensically through computers and the Fournier sequence and generative AI. Fuck yeah, get him.
Computers.
Easy peasy. It's just computers.
It is.
Everything is computer.
Cool. So now here comes a scene that I don't think you would have seen. So the next thing is we're back at Susan's, and just to wake us all up after all that exposition, Kevin Costner's not wearing a shirt, and he's just wearing jeans. And holy crap, he's like an incredibly hairy chested man. I didn't have that on the cards for Costner. But then we see Susan pick up this jewelry box, and we're going to see this in flashback later as well, because it's a plot relevant jukebox. And she's put on some earrings and that, and then they have a bit of an argument because Tom is a bit jealous, because all the men are jealous in this movie. Like literally every man is jealous, I think, of somebody else. And then Susan reveals that she's shagging Bryce, and he's like, "Hey, you know I work for him, right? You know I work for Bryce." And she's like, "That makes two of us." Which is doesn't go that hard, because she doesn't actually work for him, but she is paying his rent apparently. We learn later on. Cool. And then Pritchard goes to pick her up for this function, because obviously Bryce can't pick her up because Bryce has got to take his wife. Ugh, what a drag. And, and then we see Tom, who is going to the same event, right, but wasn't getting ready. And then we see him in the house. Wearing his like dress trousers and his shirt unbuttoned, no tie, and he's smoking, as if he's contemplating whether or not he's going to go to this event. And then he does go to the function, and I initially said he crashes the function, but he doesn't, because he hands over an invitation. So he was invited, so he's just tardy. So then he goes, and then what happens is something that you miss. So this whole function is a celebration of New Zealand's National Day. It's worth pointing out right now that Roger Donaldson, the director, included this because he wanted stuff from like around that part of the world, but actually he's Australian. But anyway, rig, I'm going to point out the rig all the time. It's white, so he's doing trop number 2s now. So he's wearing white jacket, black trousers, yellow cummerbund again, and then we see this Maori dancing. So like there's a bunch of guys there, and they do the haka, and they've got weapons and stuff. And I don't know why that was cut out of your YouTube version, because that's just culture. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, I mean that's bullshit to me. That's like, sorry to be very blunt, but I don't get why that specifically was cut out. I mean, I can understand. I mean, I don't agree with the removal of the sex scenes and all the swear words and all that cool things that, you know, that you agree to, and you tell YouTube, yes, I am 18. Yes, I am totally cool with seeing Sean Young, getting done in the back of a limo. That was very eloquent there, Rory. But yeah, and it baffled me why this scene was taken out. Like, what, man?
What
It's
is
just
offensive?
Maori people being cool. It's like, I mean, is there some like fucking anti-Maori agenda going on here? Because that's bullshit if there is, or did the. But I mean, because the studio's got to be providing this to YouTube, and YouTube probably don't have the rights to say, "Ha, we're going to cut this out, we're going to cut that out, we're going to remove that." And
It strikes me as like one of those like airplane cuts you get, where like they would cut out like all the fun stuff because you don't want like kids in the adjacent seats seeing you watch the fun stuff.
I wonder.
But yeah, weird. There's an abrupt cut now to their dirty weekend. So basically, the next thing that happens is Tom and Susan are planning a little trip away. You have another interaction with the ethnically uncertain landlord who says he's prying. He's asking like what they're doing basically, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry for prying. You enjoy your weekend." We get a driving montage with another cheesy 80s song, also by Paul Anka, called "Say It," and I don't remember a single bit of this one. And then, like in quick succession, a handful of demented things happens again. This movie's so strange. So they're driving along in the car, and then you see Tom like eating something, and then Susan's like, "Are you eating bugs? Like that's just gross." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna get another one." And he stands up in the car, reaches around the windshield. It's like a drop top, and he reaches around the windshield, picks up a fly off the windshield, like a dead bug, and shoves it in his mouth and starts eating it. And they're laughing about it. And then she's like, "I love Tom Farrell. I do." And it's like, mate, any sane person would have got the ick there so hard. Like I would have stopped the car and be like, "Mate, you need to get out. That's insane."
Yeah, I mean, like I'm aware it's Kevin Costner who does have massive amounts of riz, but still, it's like it's Kevin Costner who's just straight up eating insects at this point.
There's a potential here that Tom Farrell, who's obviously on an assignment here to sue this woman because she's close to Secretary Bryce, is almost like he's challenging himself to see how much marge he can get away with and still shag her. It's almost like, right, okay, what can I possibly do to get this woman the ick, and then see if it works. And like, right, I'm going to eat some bugs off the windshield, and then just see if that works. And it doesn't work. I'm going to take her to this fucked up hotel where it clearly looks like a B&B, and yet the bellhop that's going to take us to our room is wearing some kind of weird French revolutionary garb. Like, what the fuck?
I love it. It's ridiculous. He's like someone from the cast of fucking Hamilton. It's amazing. It's like,
yes, that's it. Yeah, it's like
you can expect him to sidle in like, "How does a bastard orphan, son of a whore, and a Scotsman, etc." It's amazing. He's just this like weird like Revolutionary War kind of dandy who's just like, "Hi."
So that's so that happens, and then.
Yeah.
There's one more thing about the bugs. I don't know if you I'm assuming your weird survival training stuff that your army does is the same, but like having to eat bugs is like very I'm doing special forces co-op hiding in the woods thing, so I'm pretty certain it's having to survive somewhere without food, and eating bugs has probably been part of like weird Russian foreign intelligence training.
Their equivalent of seer and of eating like bugs and stuff.
Just in a weird not to.
That's such a weird flex, though.
The Soviet version of seer was probably horrendous, by the way. Like
in Soviet. In Soviet Union, bug no hit your windshield. In Soviet Union, you eat bug because you have not had food for 10 weeks.
He's like, delicacy, just like Papa used to catch. He just like fucking.
These like home.
He just flashes back to when he's like 7 years old and he's like searching for cockroaches in the Moscow metro.
But it's like Ratatouille, and he eats one, and it's like brings him right back to his childhood. Like it's the best buggy he's ever eaten. It's like the ones that Mum used to make when I fell off my bike and skinned my knee. It's like
Bourgeois boy.
oh man. Oh my god. Yeah, what must have his SEER training been like? Because like, all right, so as a glimpse into like British Armed Forces SEER training, like at its worst, like SEER Charlie, basically, for regular personnel, you get dumped in the middle of nowhere for a bit. You've got to survive for a period of like hours. What happens is they dump you off in the middle of nowhere, and then they send people to find you with like dogs and stuff to sniff you out. And your idea is that you're meant to survive off the land. You're not meant to go to people's houses and take stuff off them. You're meant to survive off the land until eventually you're caught. And you will get caught eventually. And then they bunch you into the back of a van, take you to another undisclosed location, put you on a chair, and they do some like sort of stuff that's like skirting the edges of breaking the Geneva Convention. So they might hood you for a little bit. They might tie you to a chair. And then they interrogate you to check that you are given like the stock responses, so like your service number, and like you're meant to say like, oh, by the Geneva Convention, you're not allowed to ask me that, and that kind of stuff, which is ridiculous. And then the big bit about SEER training is that they're only allowed to hit you twice or something. So in the back of your mind, I presume, I haven't actually done this level of SEER, so total nosebag talking about this, but in the back of your mind, you must be thinking like, well, he's only got like a couple of hits in him, and then it'll be all over. So I'll just keep my gob shut until that's finished. And this is the training that like fighter pilots and stuff go through in case they're downed in like hostile territory and stuff. What I'm imagining Tom's was like was probably like that bit in Casino Royale where Daniel Craig stripped naked and put on a chair with the bottom taken out, and then whipped in the bollocks with a rope.
So,
what makes you think this was my first time?
So apparently, the Soviet military didn't have a formal, a formalized SEER training program, but instead, just things like survival, escape, and evasion were just like kind of routinely rolled into their training. Apparently, according to some googling I've just done. So, the military training included this stuff, but it wasn't like a formally named program. So, I was really gutted when I googled this because I thought. I wanted to see it was really bad. Like, it was like fucking really brutal. Like 10 men leave and only 9 can come back. You've got to eat one of your course mates or something, Yeah.
Just drive you out to a field and like, right, this is the Thunderdome. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. And the guy who leaves, we get to auction all his kit, and the guy who killed him gets to keep the boots.
Fantastic. It doesn't matter even if they don't fit him. It's like, spare boots, These are like the only boots that get issued for your next 25 years of service.
Yeah. Look amazing.
Well, you know what? While we're googling random service-related things, I might have found out what's just irritating me so much about the rank slides on the uniform.
Okay, so just context for this. Sanya is unhappy about the size of the stars on Tom's uniform.
Not just the stars, but the general size of the entire rank slide. So I've looked it up. Theoretically, they are supposed to be the same width that your rank slides are, and are around 1.5 centimeters wider than the ones I get. What they do tend to be, however, is significantly shorter. So they are about 2 centimeters shorter than yours, or a lot more than mine, probably. This I am aware this makes me probably sound severely unhinged and autistic, but they do just look too giant because they're almost square. It's weird. They just have generally weird proportions.
Brother, don't worry about looking intense and autistic. You're on a podcast, mate. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair
I mean,
enough.
we're all we all float down here.
So the next thing we see is Tom goes to rent a yacht for Susan, so they can go out on a boat for a bit. And there's only shit little plastic ones, so he bribes the guy there so he can get the owner's nice, fancy, proper yacht, like some sort of sailing contessa type thing. which he does. And this is important because this guy, as is the weird bellhop, are both going to come back later. Cool. And then they go out to sea, and some really kind of like sad, dour 80s music plays. It's a little bit serene. Tom, for some reason, yells, "God, I wish the Navy was still like this," which, I don't think it ever was like that because, you're just tooling about on a yacht, but cool. Ultimately, they do a little bit of seamanship maneuvers. I think they get ready to tack, and he talks her through how they're tacking, and she gets to shout, "Helms alee," and all that stuff, and it's really nice. And what I would say is this scene walked so the sailing scene in Top Gun Maverick could run. Absolutely great. And then finally, we at minute 45 into the movie, we return home, and this is it. The murder. So, So firstly, can we just address how late into the movie that Susan is killed? So her death is like the inciting incident of the plot, and it happens like 46 minutes into the movie.
I think it's excellent. I think it's a very good choice in the film.
Yeah, same, because you're expecting her. If you were thinking she was going to die, you'd expect her to be killed at like minute 25.
Yeah.
Like top of the first act, right?
It does develop very slowly, doesn't it?
It does unfold in a way that I don't think, despite the fact that movies are a lot longer now, generally speaking, than they were in this time, I don't think this kind of movie is being made as much. And I think if it were, I don't think they roll out these inciting incidents at like whatever page on the screenplay this is at.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, we're starting out with the flashback still, but it's going to be a flashback to her getting killed rather than to Tom being interrogated. And then through the kind of like storytelling, we're seeing films that are coming out roughly in kind of current year would see her taking up some of the film, but not a whole 45 minutes. I don't think.
No, she's dead. She's dead. Wife at the start, isn't she? Kind of thing. You see her like in you see her like in videos that people look at on their mobile phones and stuff. You don't get to see very much of her at all. I don't think. The other thing that I think you miss.
Yeah, more than flashbacks and stuff, but yeah.
Oh, totally right. And then I think the other thing you miss as well, if they were making this film now, what they'd cut out was all that stuff at sea, all the Manila stuff. What would happen is you wouldn't have two functions. You'd have one function in the first act of the movie. And what would happen is you'd go to the function. Pritchard was introducing to Senator Bryce and goes, "Hey, Senator Bryce, this is my friend Tom. We went to college together. This is the guy I was telling you about. He's the hero from USS Billings who saved that guy's life." And then he's like, I could use a hero at my department. Come to work for me tomorrow, kind of thing. And then that's how you'd get him into the door of the Pentagon. And it would cut out about like 15, 20 minutes of the movie.
Which sucks because, also, yes, for the record, that's partially what the YouTube cut does because it gets rid of the second function. However, you do still get obviously Bryce's weird attitude, like, "Oh, hi, this is my friend. Yeah, okay, cool, whatever," kind of thing. But you are totally right in that assessment, man.
Yeah. Right, cool. So anyway, back to the murder. So so Bryce, basically what happens is they arrive back home straight away, and as soon as they arrive back, the phone's already ringing, and it's Bryce, and he wants to go and see her. And then there's a bit of an argument between Susan and Tom, where Tom's like, "What the fuck, man? I'm just going to leave like some kind of thief in the night out the back door. Like, I'm shagging you. Everyone should know that I'm shagging you, not Bryce." And then she's like, "If you want me to say it, I'll say it. I'll leave him, Tom. I'll leave him." She won't leave him. And then he says he's coming over. And then she's like begging Tom to go out the back door. And he's like, "No, when I leave, it's going to be out the front." Anyway, Gilligan cut to him leaving out the back door. And he's stood in an alleyway in the dark and shrouded in shadow. And he sees getting out of his car Bryce. So there's a moment there where Bryce observes a man looking at him, but he doesn't know who it is. And Tom sees Bryce going into the apartment. As soon as Bryce gets into the apartment, he's not an idiot. He's like, "Who's that guy? Who else are you fucking? Who you were with all weekend? Who is he? I want to know who he is." And then he punches her in the face. And then she runs upstairs. He follows her. They have a tussle on the bed. He slaps her again, I think. He exclaims, while he's kind of choking her, that he pays her rent. And then they fight in the hallway a little bit again. And then in a weird moment, he pushes her. And she falls backwards over the balcony. And then this is cut and filmed really weirdly. So it goes into super slow motion. he's like, you can see Bryce trying to grab her to save her because he already, like, his gut instinct is that this is the wrong thing to do and he wants to grab her. But then she falls and she kind of like, they must have lowered her on a wire and then they slowed the footage down further. So they must have filmed it at high speed, slowed down because her arms are flailing like tons in what must have been like a split second's fall.
Yeah, it's just like a fish.
Yeah,
taken
it
out
looks
of
a bit
water.
like it looks really artfully done. Like, it looks like something you'd see in a Kate Bush video. And then she hits the glass table. The glass table completely shatters into pieces, and then she lies on top of it, kind of like dead, like Ophelia on top of the river, kind of thing in Hamlet. But there's no visible damage to her. But we know later that she died of a broken neck. But it doesn't look broken when we see it. It looks really nicely composed. Anyway, Bryce freaks out, goes to see Pritchard, and then he says to Pritchard, "I think I killed Susan." And Pritchard says, "What happened?" And then Bryce says, "I killed her." Yeah, mate, you killed her. That's answered that question. And then Pritchard goes to clean up Susan's apartment to try and remove any evidence of Bryce being there. So he's pocketing stuff. He's looking around the place. He finds the negative from the Polaroids that Susan took of Tom earlier on. Very important. And then he nearly hears Tom on the phone. What happens is Tom calls the apartment wanting to talk to Susan, and then he hears Susan's answer phone message, and I presume must get the ick, because Susan's answer phone message, again, is yet more evidence of her character being a bit crazy. So her message is this: Susan can't come to the phone right now, but wait for the beep, and tell me everything. Beep. And like you've got to imagine like what that would have been like if she was just alone in her house recording that message for her own amusement. Like, I mean, God forbid to go have hobbies and stuff, but that is crazy. But like, so Tom hears that, and he's like, you know what? Actually, I don't have the energy to talk to this person, and then hangs up, and that probably saved his life. Next, we get a really important bit of exposition between Pritchard and Bryce, where they concoct the whole plan to pin it on another third person, this agent called Yuri, who doesn't really exist, codename Yuri, who all the other intelligence agencies believe is active in the DoD. So they're going to say, we're doing a manhunt for this guy called Yuri who's connected to this killing. We're going to find him. None of you other guys get involved, especially not the FBI. Please don't get involved, FBI. Definitely not the FBI. And then, for reasons we learn in due course, this is deeply ironic, because the next scene, Tom is placed in charge of that investigation. And then Tom is handed the dossier of all the details about who it was, because he just thinks, oh, right, there's been a murder of some woman. Okay, cool. He doesn't know that Susan's dead. He picks up the file, looks at it, sees it's Susan, and then he excuses himself into Bryce's personal toilet, and then has a bit of a panic attack. Clue number 5 or 6 or whatever. He's panicking because he's just realised that he's the Yuri he's being made to hunt, and he thinks that the Yuri hunt is actually legitimate and it isn't just a cover-up.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah, cool. Bye.
Cool. Right, so the next scene is we're back down in the Situation Room, which we got introduced to earlier. We're going to see a ton of this space now, pretty much for the rest of the movie. So the first thing we see is the initial investigation start. They're hunting down phone records. They're talking about doing credit card purchases, but they haven't started yet, because back in the 80s, it would take like a week for that data to come in anyway.
Yeah.
And they're cataloguing all the physical evidence taken from the house. So Pritchard, Evil Niles, drops in. He comes in and he drops an evidence bag with a Polaroid negative in there, because he's confirmed with Bryce that Bryce isn't in the photo. And then he and the army major, there's an army major, plainclothes, who's also heading up the investigation alongside Tom. And they're talking about how that picture could still get, you could still draw a picture from that negative, even if you can't quite see it on the negative, because it could go in the photo lab. And there's a brilliant bit of acting from Kevin Costner, because he walks up to them just as that happens, and you hear Tom clock it, and you see a little visual pit of dread pass him for a split second, and he's back in the room again. So he's got like, that's the first bit of like, oh fuck, this could come back to get me. Cool.
Yeah.
The next clue happens here. I think it's clue 6. So part of his job is he's talking to the CIA about this phantom something, and he managed to convince a guy from the CIA to take a meeting with him and deliver him a drop copy of the report that's due at the start of the month.
Yeah.
Early. So this is like so you can see he's already working his way in, and he's doing his job for Bryce, but he's also doing his job for his handlers at the same time. This guy comes in and wants to pick up on their meeting. Pritchard's like, just cancel it. And he's like, And Farrell's like, no, it'll look suspicious, so I want to take the meeting. And then during the meeting, again, Pritchard orchestrates an escape by getting someone to call them when they're in there, so he can say, "Oh, I've got this urgent call before I leave." And then Farrell's like, "No, you go on ahead. I can manage this," because he obviously wants to get that information. Because now the net's closing around him, he still needs to leave with a product for his handlers, right? So that to me is a clue that he's not all he seems. Like the fact that he's distracted enough to continue wanting to do this CIA stuff, even though he doesn't really care.
He gradually ramps up his spycraft as the film goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is I think that's the first proper one of it actually that you see is okay, right, he's still on mission. So the next thing we hear is the autopsy report. This is interesting for many reasons. So they get really fixated on the stomach contents of Susan at the time of death, and they posit a theory that they can use the chemical pollutants in the food that they can extract and analyze, and then they can track down where she ate on her last day so as to pinpoint her movements. And when I first saw this, I was like, is that a thing? It seems mega advanced and really workforce intensive for them to do. Like now, never mind 1987. Like my gut feeling would be you'd have to have quite a sophisticated database of background data already to do the triangulation, and this would be like a continually ongoing like process. So like, I mean, has anyone got? Rory, you said you found some stuff about this.
So I did look into this briefly. I fired up a Google newspaper search because I read it was because they say it's up at Chesapeake Bay, right? They say that they can narrow it down to up at Chesapeake Bay. So I pulled up like a bit of Google newspaper searches and a bit of Googling in general on Chesapeake Bay, and turns out incredibly polluted. And at the time, there was it's still kind of going on. I think it's still a bit messed up. If you look at like contemporary newspapers from the 80s and stuff, there's loads and loads of articles about how bad the water is in Chesapeake Bay. If you Google it, you can see that there was like a marine dead zone there at one point when there wasn't enough dissolved oxygen in the water for sea life to exist. And the interesting thing is, it's mainly caused by agricultural runoff and urban runoff to a lesser extent, specifically manure from farmers' fields. And there's this whole kind of big kind of controversy with like a lot of Amish farmers were doing it as well, and they didn't give a shit because that's what they do. They just raise barns and just don't give a shit about technology. So really, what they're saying is very matter of factly. Yeah, she's eating like the poop fish. You know, she's eating a fish that's full of shit. And I just love the concept of the shit fish because number one, it sounds like a Jim Leahy like metaphor from Trailer Park Boys. Like when he gets a few whiskeys in him, he's like, "Randers, the shit fish is swimming your way, Randers. There's a shit fish swimming towards you, Randy Bobandy." You can see its teeth. But aside from that, it's something that would have been very apparent to people watching the film in America, and especially in like the DC and kind of Chesapeake area, I guess, at the time the film came out. That wow. Yeah, that's absolutely spot on because, yeah, you know, we know how badly polluted the bay is. We're seeing it in all the newspapers and stuff. It's something that's kind of lost to time and lost to context a little bit now. But, yeah, so I guess summary is the matter of factly just said, yeah, this seafood it's full of shit. It's full of manure. It's full of urban runoff. It's full of runoff from farms. It's shitfish. It's crop oysters. You know, it's.
She's devoured the feculence.
She has. She's like devoured the feculent. It's like. so it's like it's the fucking hunt for brown October. You know what I mean? It's.
Holy crap! Every wrist brown.
Holy crap, indeed, mate. Holy crap, indeed.
Well, that was really interesting.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
I was.
I went deep on that one. It's yeah.
We'll get ready to get deep again. So the next people we meet are the goons that are working for Pritchard. So we've got two two big tall drinks of water here who are introduced as having worked with special forces. To which Tom is like, "What the fuck do you mean worked with special forces?" And it's becomes readily apparent that they were guys involved in the U.S. training teams involved in training the El Salvador paramilitaries who are supporting the right-wing government at the time in their long-standing civil war against the far-left Marxist groups, which was still technically ongoing when the movie came out. So war started technically in 1979, didn't end until 1993, I think. So a bit of a topical thing in the movie was these two guys who'd been involved in training these death squads who had perpetrated these immense human rights violations and these two really big massacres as well. So really interesting. And when we talk about how this movie had such access into the Pentagon, I'm assuming that the military advisors didn't read the scripts too closely.
Yeah. Well, they were the death squads! They're assassins! Basically. I'll really love this piece as well, because you see a visceral reaction. You see a really visceral reaction from Tom against these guys. And this kind of shows his ideologies. I mean, the fact that he is still serving the Soviet Union. And these guys are, I mean, they're part of the American defense apparatus, I guess. They're part of American foreign policy and a pretty nasty part of America's kind of hard power. But also, these guys fucking suck. And to him, these are the guys who, there is nothing redeemable about these guys. These are the guys who were down in Guatemala or wherever. They're at the School of Americas. They're on student visas with relaxed grooming, and they're just teaching, like you said, they're teaching people how to kill communists. They're out there driving through favelas on dirt bikes and shooting local labour organisers in the head. They're out there killing leftist politicians. They're out there arranging fucking Chilean helicopter rides, and he's just very, very, very viscerally pissed off at these people. It's one of the few times, along with no pictures, and if you will have that he almost lets it slip. He's a good spy, but there's a few things that make him kind of snap a little bit, and I think that's one of them. And I love these guys. I think these guys are fucking brilliant. I can and probably will talk at length about these once we dig into the two sequences where they really shine. So
these two guys, let's give them their due as well. So we've got let's get their names up. I think you've got
Marshall Bell.
Yeah, played by Fred Thompson and Leon Russum playing Kevin O'Brien, I think.
Oh no! So the goons are Contra number 1 and Contra number 2. That's Marshall Bell as Contra 1. And Contra 2 is Chris D. This is possibly the best casting of a Chris single initial since Chris R in The Room.
That's amazing.
Chris D's interesting. You know, Chris D's actually the singer of a punk band called the Flesh Eaters.
I did not know that. That's incredible.
Yes, Chris D is, in fact, has been the singer. Yeah. Yes, there is a Space Marine chapter. It's also a punk band. It's been going since like the 70s, I think, and Chris D's been their frontman for forever. But yeah, so the guy playing Contra 1 is Marshall Bell, who's a character actor. He's done a bunch of roles. He's been in fucking everything.
He's been in Total Recall. He was in Stand By Me. Starship Troopers. Would you like to know more?
Oh, that's right. Oh my god.
And he's still very active now as well.
Yeah. He was in Sliders. He was in one episode of Sliders. Yeah, I'm looking at IMDb at this point, but yeah.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Fuck! He was in one of the best episodes of Millennium.
Oh man.
He was in The Judge in season 1.
I've definitely seen it then. That's brilliant.
Oh, so good, man. Oh my god. Holy crap, he was in Operation Dumbo Drop. He's been in everything. Dick Tracy, Air America. Holy crap, he was in Tour of Duty. What the fuck?
This is god. This is a great movie for that, guys. That's tremendous.
Absolutely. Fucking Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. He's a guy who's been in every film regardless of genre. It's brilliant. He just works. He just gets work. It's fantastic. Chris Dean's been in like a handful of films. He's been in a few shorts. He was in Lethal Weapon as well as a mercenary. Obviously, the same year as No Way Out. So I guess that's his milieu. Just like, I'm a tall, lanky, kind of sinister dude who's going to do horrible things to people for money.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, give it up for those guys.
Yeah.
We need them on this wall. We want them on this wall.
Yeah.
Right, cool. So I had a question about whether this movie was going to be pro or anti-CIA or not, which I was going to come back to at the end, but I think we've pretty much answered it there, that the presence of these guys, despite the unprecedented access into the Pentagon, and despite the fact that our protagonist turns out to be a bad guy, I don't think this movie presents itself as a pro-CIA movie.
No, it's not. That's not.
No.
Not really. Yeah.
Cool. So then Tom is a bit shaken up. He has another meeting with Pritchard. He learns, in inverted commas, that Susan was Bryce's mistress, but obviously he already knew that. And this is when he first posits that he's pretty, I think in the back of his mind, he's pretty confident that Bryce did it. So he wants the FBI to investigate it, like, cleanly, straightly by the book. And then he wants the legal framework to do its job. And Pritchard says that Bryce didn't do it and he wants to protect him. And Tom calls his bluff and says, well, if he didn't do it, let's let the FBI investigate it and then he can take his chances. Pritchard threatens him not to. Pritchard threatens him that that's not going to happen and that he's going to protect Bryce. So we've kind of lined up who are our conflict of the movie now. Susan's dead. There's a manhunt going on. It's a cover-up. They're going to try and make Tom a fall guy. And Bryce is getting protected, even though Bryce did the murder. So that's kind of like we've set up our chessboard now, kind of thing, for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we get that explained to us in detail by a cut to Langley, where the CIA are having a chat about it, and that's when they bring up for the first time that Pritchard is gay. And this is probably one of the bits of the movie that ages pretty badly. So you're allowed to have obviously. Heroes and villains or whatever character be gay, but they kind of make his gayness a big part of why he's a bad guy in this movie. Like, he's driven crazy by his jealousy because he's gay, which I don't think has aged well at all.
Yeah, great. I will say though that as well. I think there is, when you think about it, himself, Bryce, and Susan. It's essentially a love triangle because Bryce is leading him on in a way and manipulating him in a way. A huge pivotal moment is obviously when Bryce goes to his apartment and he's like, I think I've killed her. Well, I have killed her. I just need to chill before I go to the police. And that's massive emotional blackmail of this guy that he knows really is besotted with him, you know?
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, and like he goes through his place, he's wearing his clothes. The Pritchard's there, and just he's like dressing down as well. This is like the sort of the Smithers fantasy of Burns flying through the window kind of thing.
Oh my god, holy shit, totally is. Yeah. but yeah, like there is that great kind of snappy line. Oh well, I'll be damned. Oh well. Yeah, so will he if you go by the Old Testament, and it's like, oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I nearly brought that up, but it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So now we've had that kind of explained to us, we come back to the Pentagon, and then it gets really interesting. So we are now on the subject of the Polaroid negative that was on the deck, and this is like the first time I think I can remember of seeing generative AI being talked about in a movie, especially like one from the late 80s. It's not talking about it in the way that we think of AI now in terms of generative AI. It's talking about it more in the sense that you would a really advanced version of like how on Photoshop you could erase stuff, like remove it, and then you could take a feature out of a picture and it would paint in what the rest of the pixels behind it would be doing.
Yeah.
Judging by the pixels next to it. So that's exactly what they're talking about. Yeah, there's a brilliant bit here. There's actually a really good comedic bit here as well. So basically what happens is they go to the situation room And he gets and that's when he tells him like, yeah, so we have this Polaroid negative. It's really bad. It's come back from the photo lab, and they can't do anything with it. And then he just goes, damn, too much to hope for. Guess we'll just have to forget it. It's like, yeah, nice try, Tom. But yeah.
So, forget it, man. Just guess we'll never know. Guess we'll never know.
Oh, no. Anyway,
I guess we're gonna just have to solve this thing without any evidence. Oh well. But there's two really cool things laid out in this scene. So one is that work in progress of the generative AI photo that's going to be running on a CRT monitor in the middle of the lab all day. So they say that we're gonna have to set this thing rendering, and it's going to be rendering all day long on this screen that everyone can look at all day long. So gradually, the face of the man who spent the weekend with Susan is going to become apparent, and that's basically our killer. That's what they all think. So that's like a ticking time bomb. So that's like your like sort of countdown almost for the movie. So they say like it's going to take like 12 hours. It could be a week, could be 12 hours, but they're going to try and speed it along. So that's a great source of tension. And then secondly, the first hit on the phone numbers from the phone number checks to Susan's house come in, and it's a man, Susan's friend, who rang her just before the murder. So that sets up our next scene, which is Tom and Pritchard going to visit her. So they go to her apartment and they kind of start questioning her. Pritchard kind of takes the leading role. Tom just kind of stands at the back, and then boom, clue number, I think we're up to 8 now. Clues that Tom's a double agent. So there's a bit of ambiguity as to whether a man, her name is, I think her character's name is Nina, is going to grass up Tom for being in her apartment. And I guess it must have been like months ago at this point, because he's been and done a deployment, he's come back, he's taken on a new job and stuff. But it's not clear whether or not she's going to go, well, yeah, I do know a guy actually that she was seeing. He stood right behind you. So Tom kind of just does some business in the back of the room. He's kind of wandering around, and then he picks up a vase, and you just see him really carefully like take the flowers out of the vase and put them down on the sideboard. And he's like positioned as if he's about to smash Pritchard in the back of the head as soon as it starts to go south. But then she doesn't do it, so he puts it back down again.
Yeah.
And that is obviously the clue that like, all right, there's something fishy with Tom, and like how, because he's going like from nothing to like lethal force as soon as the idea that he knows Susan is brought up.
Yeah, because it's not a comedy. He's not gonna like bop him on the back of the head with a vase, and he's going to be okay 10 minutes later. He's using a heavy object as a force multiplier to start what's going to be a very brief, very fucking terminal struggle, and he's escalated really quickly.
And the only logical explanation for that is because he believes there's a real manhunt going for an agent, and he needs to maintain his cover. And for him, maintaining his cover is more important than establishing his innocence of murdering this guy, because he's just going to get disappeared back to Russia if he has to.
Yeah.
So anyway, that happens, and we go back to the computer room, and Tom is starting to do his first bit of obfuscation of the investigation by using loads of computer resources to hunt for credit card purchases that wouldn't have come through yet in the 1980s. So this is like a couple of days in. You expect about a week or so for credit card purchases to have gone in through the system and be held at the banks that they go through, because it takes ages for a check to clear, or credit cards to clear back in those days. So, and he gets told that much by Sam, and he's like, just do it anyway. But he's like, oh, we have computer resources we could be using elsewhere. And again, it's implied that he means the rendering image, but it's not said out loud. But yeah, so if they really want to slow down the AI, I suppose what they could have done is said please and thank you to it, and that would have caused it to
Topical,
have a higher draw on its server. Apparently, topical joke. Cool. The next thing we get is another look at the food pollutant thing, but this time we see a bar graph depicting what the pollutants are, and a cool little heat map of where they are. So that was pretty cool, and we've established now that actually is a bit more plausible than I initially thought it was. So that's cool.
Yeah.
And then Tom's in his office, and a guy from CID comes and drops off a jewelry box that had been found in the apartment that they'd been hanging on to, that I guess Pritchard didn't have a clue about at all. So he hands it to Tom. Tom's like, I've seen this jewelry box. And then it does a flashback to show us him asking about the jewelry box and how it was a gift from Bryce and how he'd received it from someone else. And then Tom goes and gets his little sub-lieutenant and bitches him off to find out where it came from.
Bitches him off. Ah,
You went out 5 minutes late for the podcast.
delegation in the streets and bitching off in the sheets.
Bitching off the sub-lieutenant.
Cool. Right, and then the next scene is we're back at Bryce's office now, and a guy who we haven't even mentioned yet, a guy called Senator Duval, who is the guy who's really keen to get the Phantom sub through, is kicking off. But he's kicking off not about the Phantom sub. He's kicking off about how this mad investigation is taking place that none of the other intelligence agencies are involved in, because this guy is like in deep cahoots with the CIA. So he's kicking off about that. Pritchard then goes, "Oh, hey, by the way, while you're here kicking off about this, we're not fully decided on the Phantom sub thing. So we could have a talk about that, and maybe there's some ground we can give." And that calms down and he fucks off. Bryce doesn't like this. Doesn't like being out diplomated by this guy. He hates this Duval guy. So he repays Pritchard's favor by lobbing a folder on the head, and and it's an amazing shot of Will Patton just taking this folder bang onto the dome and like barely reacting. It's amazing, very good value. And then the reason this scene exists is because he relays to Bryce that in the interrogation of Iman, Nina, earlier on, Nina mentioned Bryce, so she's the only person connected with the murder so far that isn't Bryce. So Pritchard sends his 2 goon squad guys on to go and get her, and as soon as Tom realizes this, he runs down, commandeers a car, and he gets to chasing them down. He wants to get to Nina first, and we have our first chase sequence. So over to you, Rory, to describe the chase sequence.
Oh my god! So first of all, I love both of the film's major chase sequences. So, I mean, like the odd perfect bits of cinema, but the great pieces of action filmmaking, I think. The characters of those involved, they're shown through the sequences. The decisions made by the 3 parties from chasers, Tom and the Contra 1 and Contra 2, and the nameless goons. So the car chase sequence where he's pursuing them by car, which then sees like the hunter and prey balance reversed and finds himself running from them, which was part of his plan to distract them. First of all, it's got what I'd argue is some great action driving. Costner is believable, I think, in raking this big American gas guzzler around a parking garage. And when he gets out on the roads of DC, this overpass that our American listeners are forgetting, he might be disappointed in me for not being able to name, he makes what I think is a decision that's in line with his character, in line with the situation that he's in, and it shows, again, his grasp of spycraft and stuff. Now, we know that he's already prepared to do acts of real violence. We've just discussed the scene in Nina's apartment when he was ready to fucking kill, Pritchard. He was ready to absolutely kill him. But now he's out in public. He's got to try and remain kind of low key. So he sets up what to me is like an excellent, it's like low visibility car crash, if you will. It's aggressive, combative driving. It could be, but which crucially can be taken by passers-by as just someone being a bad driver, just a loss of control. He chases behind these guys. He pulls up against them. He's like, "Oh hi," kind of thing. Then he overtakes them. He just kind of puts his car with a bit of a skid, and they T-bone him at not very low speed, but low speed enough for no one to get killed. So it's just it just looks like a loss of control. There's no pit maneuver. There's no pulling alongside them and pushing them through the concrete siding of the overpass. I mean, with the size of that vehicle, he probably could have. He doesn't deploy his sidearm. He stops the vehicle. He takes away the mobility, and then he gets them to chase him. And I think it's done in such a way that he's aware of the situation in which he's operating. Right, like. He knows that you're not going to start a gunfight just in the middle of DC on this flyover. He knows that he's not going to kill these guys because that's going to get loads of heat on him. So he does this excellent bit of like, I'm going to cause a little accident and essentially get a mobility kill on these guys and then distract them. And it's great. We'll see the subsequent chase when he runs off across traffic. There's people like, "Oh, you asshole," giving him grief and stuff like that. And then we see again his spycraft and his physicality don't fully gel because he gets in the tree and he can't make that other branch, man. He can't make that other branch. He knows he's got the plan. He's got the plan, but he can't quite make it physicality wise.
Yeah.
But he's still moving. He's still booling along. You know, he runs out. He gets hit by a car. Apparently, his agent, I think, was really pissed off about that because, like, oh my god, you let my actor get hit by a car and stuff. Because he does his own stunts, and I don't think his agent liked him doing his own stunts. So then, by this point, he's already starting to run out of steam. He's already starting to gas a little bit, and he's being pursued by these inexorable fucking goons who do not appear to show any kind of, you know, slowing down, any kind of weakness. I will say that Contra number 2, Chris D, does run a bit weird. You guys both run. I don't. I'm a little fat goblin, but you guys run. That's a weird run he's got, right? With his arms down there and his hands are a bit open and.
Yeah, it's a strange gait, definitely.
It's a very strange gait. But he's rapid. I mean, they're both rapid, and they don't appear to show as much kind of exhaustion as with boy Thomas. Then, of course, he's down into the metro station. He does what, you know, he listens to the intrusive thoughts that I get at Haymarket metro station every time, and he slides down the middle between the two escalators. What I love about this as well, so he gets himself on the train, and as the goons go down, Chris D, Goon 2, again, just fucking fully pushes someone off the escalator. I love that.
Yes, I was hoping you were going to mention this.
Past him. It's amazing, isn't it? Doesn't even push past him. One-handed, single-handed, just pushes him, and he goes. I think that's actually amazing. It's like.
It's probably the most believable chase scene in a film I've ever seen. If I actually think about it. It's like, hell yeah, I could be running away from two goons and be totally out of breath the entire time and then fall off a tree. I could do that.
Like it's low key, it's believable, and of course then they get to the point when they're at the train. He's inside the train. At this point, they're aware, and we're going back like visibility and stuff, and just kind of what you can do and what you can get away with in certain situations. They've missed chances where they could have got him in an alley. But now, in front of a load of witnesses, and at this point, if one of them draws a weapon and shoots through the window, which they can do, oh my god, that guy just shot a fucking Navy officer in cold blood in the middle of the metro station. Bloody hell, man.
Terrorist incident.
Yeah, and it's something these guys could probably get away with down the line. They could probably get covered for it, but it's a choice that they decide not to make, because, you know, they're foiled for now, but they are part of America's inexorable killing machine, and if they want to get you, they'll get you.
And another good thing I like about this is that you see how puffed out Kevin Costner is, Tom, because the temptation in a lot of these movies, because this is like a classic scene, the guy jumps onto the train just as it's pulling away, and the other guys are stuck behind it.
Yeah,
happened in Spender. It happens at everything, and.
Spender like, mentioned.
You probably see it. Like
Spender mentioned. Newcastle mentioned. Yes. Shira.
but Shira, not that Shira.
Not that Shira. No, that's going to date us down the line. Topical joke.
But yeah, so you get that. But the temptation is for like some kind of like back and forth to happen, some kind of communication, and all he can manage is like he's obviously hanging out. All he manages is like he punches the side of the fist onto the window in a sort of physical act of like fuck you, but he doesn't even like flipping the bird or anything. He's just like get fucked.
Yeah,
and that, I like
great.
that.
Like it's brilliant. It's an excellent chase scene. It's an all-timer. It's very, very good.
Yeah, so there's and then the next bit we get is so out of the subway train, he then rocks up at the mall, and there's another little bit of chase scene, isn't there?
That's right, yeah. And again, I just love a good mall chase scene. I think as well with like, it seems a bit of like storytelling that is very peculiar to films set in America. Like, I wonder what like is there like a national alternative to your mall chase scene? I think maybe it's railway station scenes for like European thrillers and stuff. You know what I mean? It's like there is pretty excellent mall chase scene that's class as well, I must say.
Yeah, or it's like the marketplace or something, isn't it?
Yes, a
Something like that.
marketplace.
It's like
I mean, if it's anything like kind of like Eastern European or Middle Eastern kind of thing, that rough area from like Eastern Europe through the Caucasus, through the Balkans, down to like the MENA kind of area, and it's always running through a market, and like you're like knocking fucking tubs of fruits over.
Doesn't like every James Bond.
Yeah, no, Sanya's absolutely right there. Like every James Bond ever.
Yeah.
Like, and if you go to the Middle East, it's a souk. And
It's a souk,
you
yeah,
know,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone totally needs to do credit cards and orange stand or something.
No, I can't remember much of it. So my key takeaway from that scene is, so he runs up, he gets to the shop that Nina Iman works at, and I can't remember what it is. Is it like a fashion boutique or a jewelry store or something? And then he pulls her out there, and he tells her like, you are in grave danger. These guys are coming. They're going to kill you. You need to disappear. And then those guys catch up pretty quickly. And then he fights them to slow them down while she escapes. And then there's an amazing bit where he rugby tackles one of the guys, flips him up. Then he charges into the second guy, pushes him into like a big flower store type thing. And then the other guy gets up, pulls a weapon in the middle of the mall and puts it to his back and goes, I think we should get back to the Pentagon, sir. Which is fucking wild.
Yeah. Fucking absolutely brilliant.
If anyone else heard that, they'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This guy skipped out of work.
Yeah.
So you've exceeded your lunchtime by 15 minutes. I'm going to pull a gun on you, sir. It's fucking
I'm not getting a
weird.
job at the Pentagon. That's insane.
Yeah, it's like, fucking hell, man. It's like, I'm sorry I clocked in 5 minutes late, dude, you know? Come on, man.
So they
Oh no! I will book my leave on Prime Web the next time, sir.
We leave on GPA, should we? Yeah, so they take him back to the Pentagon, and Pritchard is pretty unhappy with him, and he's like, "Don't do any of that kind of shit again," kind of stuff. And it's clear now they've marked the lines now. They're on separate sides of how they're handling this thing. And Tom, this is quite cool. So Tom kicks off with him and goes, I don't believe there is a Yuri, is there? Or that he has anything to do with that murdered girl. And like, if you watch it for the first time, you're like, oh, yeah, okay. He gets it. He understands it's a cover-up, and he's figuring it out. Cool. And then you watch it a second time, you're like, oh, this guy's doing a misdirect, because he thinks he is the Yuri, and he's just trying to clear his own yard arm.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And then he leaves that office, goes into another woman's office who's working, and she's like, he just says, I need to use the phone. And just thins her out of her office. Yeah. And she's like, oh, well, be careful what you say, because Big Brother's listening.
Yeah.
And then he rings up his subby that he bitched off earlier on about the jewelry box. And he tells him that it's Arabic, but it's a Moroccan dialect of Arabic. To which Tom responds, good boy. So just a reminder that being a sub-lieutenant is a hard life.
Allegedly I report everything, but if my last commanding officer topped off his conversations with calling me a good boy, I probably would have just, I don't know, yanked his face off.
Yeah.
Good God.
So now that's all happened, we are now entering the very long portion of the movie now. Like it says it feels long. It's only the last half an hour or so, but it's this is the process of Tom trying to get a printout from the Department of Protocols, which states that the jewelry box was gifted to Bryce from a Moroccan diplomat, and therefore places Bryce as knowing Susan, and therefore it'll be enough for Bryce to kill the investigation because he doesn't want his name coming out in the investigation.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen now for the rest of the movie is we're going to get scenes where Tom is visiting a big dot matrix printer over and over again. But before we do that, we go over to the generative AI screen again. And just a fun detail, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but there's a handful of screens. One is the picture, which is incredibly blurry and kind of orange, and it doesn't really look like anything yet. There's another monitor next to it, and it's just like a wireframe of a human head just spinning around on its x-axis, just like over and over again. And
Hang on.
What's that for? Is that meant to signify that the computer is thinking about heads? The human head must examine the human head.
Maybe there's a head joke in there somewhere.
Oh.
The movie's terribly horny most of the time
It's
as well.
not
So
beyond the realms. So Tom goes up to see Sam again, the techno wizard, and he does a really irritating drip feed of information to Sam. So he could have just told Sam everything straight off, but he doesn't do that. So he says to Sam, "Look, I'm the guy in the picture, but I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Sorry, I did not kill that woman. So I need you to." I need you. You had a lot of sexual relations with that woman. I need you to slow that picture down, which is wild because, like, what he could have asked for is, look, that picture developing in the situation room is really distracting. Can you just turn the monitor off? like, Anyway, then we take our first proper visit to the printer. So what he's doing now is he's waiting for this dot matrix printer to print off the list of all the items that have been gifted to members of the U.S. government from various diplomats and stuff. As obviously they need to be recorded. Some of them are a bit spicy. They all have monetary value, and it's brilliant. So we get a rundown of the list, and it's fantastic. I'm going to give you a rundown of the list that we see.
Yes.
Right. Name. First one. Edward V. Amarillo is gifted a Sony Walkman by the ambassador from Pakistan. George P. Bookburn is gifted a cat's eye ring / platinum band from the British ambassador. Fred K. Blitzman is gifted patent leather shoes by the German Council to the UN. Fred Bloomgard is gifted a gold brooch and a diamond inlay by the Dutch ambassador. And then some of these are partials. John Paris is gifted a Rolex by somebody. Glenn B. Bordenay is gifted a bulletproof vest by somebody.
That sounds like more of a threat than a gift, though, doesn't it? That's like, hey, buddy, just thinking about you, man.
Here, comrade American, you are going to need this.
America, thank you for visiting my country. Watch, be awful if something were to happen to you.
Would you like a cup of
chest
tea?
You have there. Shame would have been penetrated.
It would be a shame if something happened
Yeah,
to
it's
it.
like a fucking
Absolutely
huge bulletproof vest. It still smells faintly of blood. It's like a battlefield pickup.
It's fucking brilliant. So we get some more awesome things on that list, but that's the first hit of the list. Don't worry, we're going to come back to this printer again and again and again, as I've said. So the next thing that happens is...
I'd say for a second, though, some of these just seem vaguely nonsensical as gifts. I mean, the German dignitary giving someone some leather shoes doesn't sound in the slightest bit Germanic. Sanya, can we have a confirmation? Is the giving of
German
shoes as a gift? Yes, please. We're going live to Germany for a query about shoes.
Yes, I can do the accent if you like. Shoes is a weird one, I think. Yeah. So what I've mostly had to do. I mean, in fairness, this is in a rather standardized naval environment, but what we tend to do is like weird plaques and pictures and documents and whatnot. But I think shoes would have been very odd and personal thing to do.
Yeah.
It's like I mean, I could get like, I don't know, maybe a polo or something that something that's got a print on that's related to a certain event having taken place or something. But shoes is just
because you've got to know the size. I mean, what's the protocol? Are you asking this American politician what the shoe size is a week ahead of time? It's like, hey, just random question, man. What size are those grippers? I just really want to know. Like, this is an issue for this is the issue of diplomatic importance. What size are your feet? It's bizarre.
When they arrive in the country, are they taking them to Clark's to get their feet measured?
It's so weird.
By
It's
the
so
woman with
weird.
that little machine and the tape.
I'm also not a fan of the gift from the British dignitary as well, because it's just like, "Oh, yes, I will give you this ancient ring handed down to me from the lineage of Merlin himself. It will give you a plus 10% damage bonus when you fight with goblins. Beware, it turns green when there are Russian spies in the area. But be warned, it is haunted by the ghost of Morgana Le Fay." Yeah, that's just weird. It would have been a bottle of fucking scotch or something. No way, man.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
like,
Definitely.
it's not, oh, look, I'm giving this fucking random D&D random fucking treasure table. Ooh, I rolled a 27. There's your fucking ring with your cat's eye, whatever in it.
It's
Bullshit.
Going right back to the start as well. Every Amarillo getting gifted a Sony Walkman by the ambassador from Pakistan.
I really
It's
like
a bit
that.
like, oh, you're American. Here's something that's Japanese, but here's some tat you can pick up pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, it's like he bought it basically because the guy from Pakistan bought it. Basically,
it smacks to me of. Sorry, go ahead.
No, so basically, the guy from Pakistan bought it at the airport because he realized he'd he probably left some like incredibly beautiful piece of like artisanal craft in his office. He's like, "Fuck."
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Oh, Americans like Walkmans, I guess. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh my god. It smacks to me a little bit like. Do you remember when Barack Obama went to Poland and they gifted him a copy of The Witcher 2?
That's incredible.
Right.
Now that makes sense for them because they obviously made it and it was a great big thing for them. But could you imagine being Barack Obama and being like, right, so normally when it comes to these things, someone gives me like a bottle of scotch or like a tapestry or a painting or something for the White House. You give me a copy of The Witcher 2. Didn't even give him, an Xbox to play it on.
Maybe they just assumed he had one. I mean, come on, he's the president.
Yeah.
He can get whatever he wants,
Well, exactly.
Yeah. That's amazing, though.
So, that was present. It's amazing, isn't it? So now we get the next bit of news for Tom's incredibly bad day. So like what you were saying about the chase sequences, I think Tom in this entire movie is just a guy who's constantly living on the edge of his wits, doing immediate like reactive decision making to get through the day. And never more does it happen than here when we start bringing the witnesses into the Pentagon to try and find him. So they're convinced that the Yuri guy's in the Pentagon, and they've tracked down that the guy who rented the boat and the bellhop from the hotel have seen the guy and have given a statement as to his appearance. They've said he looks exceedingly average, meaning that all bets are off. It could be anybody. Yeah. So they figure out the best way to find this guy they're looking for is to get these witnesses and march them around one of the biggest buildings in the world and go room by room, looking at all sorts of sensitive spaces that are probably way above any of their security classifications.
Yeah, there's been no vetting or anything.
Exactly. In order to find, evidently, there's not been very much vetting because we've got a Soviet spy on the loose. But so the whole thing is going to work. But my favorite thing about this sequence that we need to pay attention to is it keeps it nice and simple for us, simple dumb movie viewer, because both of these guys are wearing the same outfits they were wearing, presumably months ago, when they saw him in the first time.
Yeah.
So the guy who had the boat is fine. He's just wearing denim. He could conceivably be wearing that every single day of his working life, and we'd never know any different. But the freaking bellhop from the hotel is now walking around the Pentagon dressed like he's in a production of Hamilton.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, if I were that guy, like I wouldn't wear that uniform like on the between leaving the door of the hotel and getting to my car. I would have taken the neck thing off at least.
It's amazing. It's incredible. He looks.
You wouldn't have caught me in that outside.
He looks like he's about like just whip out a rapier and just like duel Yuri to death. What I think it's important to think of here is it's a horny film, right? I mean, this film's got its dander up, and it's not just it doesn't need to just be horny for women. Now, my theory is that Pritchard, when he was like ringing up about, so there's this bellboy. Ooh, bellboy, you say? What kind of uniform does he wear, you say? His trousers are how tight?
Well, this is a matter of national importance. That's
Get him here!
Ooh, he's
Yeah.
got water
But,
on
but,
his
but
nips.
I mean, he's certainly, I mean, he's certainly snug, you know. And I think it's been a case of Pritchard was like, it's very important to national security that he doesn't get changed out of his uniform. I need this guy
absolutely
wandering the halls of power in those fucking really tight trousers. Because god damn it, Bryce doesn't give me anything.
I need to,
God damn it!
I need to see those breeches. Is he? Do his shoes have those little buckles on the front? Oh, tell me they do.
I bet they do. I bet they do, man. Oh.
Let me check. I've got the film running in the background. Let me just see if I can find this little outfit somewhere.
I bet they do, man. I bet they do. But yeah, so I think like Pritchard definitely wanted to see him do a little turn in his little gear. Oh man,
that's great.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
They do. They fucking do.
Oh.
Unbelievable. He's just missing the goddamn tricorn hat.
There's a man who's not throwing away his shot.
He looks like he's on his way to steal Mozart's latest work to sell it off as his own.
Oh, you just got Amadeus. You just got...
It would be really funny if like there was a scene where he's going through the metal detectors when he enters the Pentagon, and he just takes like a brace of flintlocks out of his breeches and just puts them on the table, and then like puts a few bags of like gunpowder and like musket balls and stuff, and
he's probably doing that scene from Pirates of the Caribbean that Keira Knightley does, where she keeps taking pistols out of her clothes somehow.
That's amazing. Oh, he's an absolute swashbuckler. I love it. I absolutely love it. I've got fucking tears in my eyes at this swashbuckling little bellhop. God bless him and all he's sailing.
Oh, amazing. We do see it again a little bit later. But in between, Tom goes down through the nasal hallway and looks to a wedge of payphones. And then we get clue number, I think we're 9 now, clue number 9, that he's a dodgy spy, because he makes a phone call on the payphone. We only hear his side, and he's talking about trying to arrange a meetup with what sounds like his handler.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's explaining the precariousness of his situation. Then we get more printer time. He's looking at the printer. The information he wants has not yet come out of the printer.
Yeah.
We get a little bit more fruity bellhop time. And then we get another cut back to the printer.
Yeah.
And then we cut to a report out to the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Because they've got a problem now that they need to do a shift change of personnel. And it's not staggered. It's just one big wedge leaves shift at 5, and another wedge come on at the same time. And they're trying to figure out how they can get these people in and out of the Pentagon because Yuri might get out. So they do a drip feed of people through the exit with the witnesses there. They don't spot him. So they're thinking, well, he must have got away.
I really like how the witnesses are just straight up putting their hands on people, by the way. Like, they're standing there and, like, the big boat hire guy puts his hands on a dude and pulls him towards him, and he's like, no, he's fine. It's like, these guys who have zero fucking security clearance, they have zero reason or right to be there, and they're just putting their hands on people, and people letting them get away with it. It's brilliant. It's just crazy. I love it. I mean, obviously, the bellhop gets away with it because he's from the 17th century. You know, I mean, he's got the right of prima nocte to put his hand on people and say, "Ooh, thou art not the blackguard. Avaunt ye, flee by sight, peasant. Next man, you are also not the blackguard. Be gone, avaunt ye. Speak no more."
Oh my
we
God.
will find this man from the Duchy of Muscovy if it kills us. Good fucking grief! I'm so sorry.
Do you think they picked him up by car? Or do you think he got to the Pentagon on horseback?
The horse-drawn carriage.
Oh God, that's fantastic! Yes, like they ring him and they're like, "You've got to come to the Pentagon." It's like, "I'll come in my own way," and he just like gets on a fucking stallion and just like digs those spurs in. He's raking that horse down the beltway, man. It's crazy. It's like the horse scene from True Lies, except just a lot more effete and delicate, yet with also the power of a raging 17th century swordsman. We're creating some fucking headcanon here for this guy, I've got to say. I think he's just hilarious. It's like something leaked from another film in this film, and it's mint.
It's absolutely superb. Sadly,
it made the hotel look distinctly untrustworthy when he first showed up, but him just showing up to the Pentagon still dressed like that.
It's incredible. The hotel looks like just like a B&B, like a standard B&B. He's got no reason to be wearing that outfit. Absolutely insane. I'm not even convinced that maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's not the fact that he's wearing it to the Pentagon. Maybe indicates that it's not a uniform, and he actually they are his clothes.
And yeah, it's like
ooh. But maybe he's the hotel's very own Matthew Robes.
Definitely
friend of the podcast.
friend of the podcast. Friend of the podcast. I mean, well, just. He just makes us think of, I don't know if it's a trend now, but at one point there was a time for people to tweet like a photo of usually an actress like Gillian Anderson, like she was insane for this one, and she was just standing there, and it's like yeah this guy's like that. It's like he was insane for this one, but he's literally just like standing there dressed like he's just fucking successfully fled from the headless fucking horseman. Jesus, man. He's like, oh, a good day to go to the witch trials. Just popping down to Salem to see some people get fucking persecuted. Jesus Christ. I wonder which good wife has danced with the devil in his woods this week. We've got into the weeds with this one. A lot of this is probably going to end up getting cut because it's just a massive fucking digression.
Yeah. Right, shall I move us on to the next bit?
Please.
Okay, right. So our two witnesses unfortunately don't spot Yuri as the shift change is happening at the Pentagon, but undeterred, the Major reinstates the search, says he's still going to be in here somewhere. We're going to go everywhere. We're going to start in the Situation Room, where Tom is once again at his favourite spot, the printer. During this time, Tom then leaves the printer and goes and tells Sam what's really up. So he's already told him that he didn't kill Susan. Now he says Bryce did kill Susan. And Tom he's so sick of waiting for the document, which he's been spooling for hours at this point, says, Sam, can we just interface with the Department of Protocol's computer and essentially start a new print job on the specific file he wants? And then they kind of do something a bit like that. So the print job is still running. They go into the computer, enter all the detail of the item that they want, and then I guess they try and prioritize it to print. But then Sam says the reason it hasn't come out the printer yet is because the printer's finding the appropriate place to put it in the print file. It makes no sense, but I guess fine, whatever. But what this does give us is more printer time, and this time we just get the gift, and it's belly dancer, harem girl, declined, see department regulation, and then a number. And the next one is 12 boxes, Cuban cigars. And then we get, for a split second, red kimono, silver filigree, and then Tom is back at the printer, like he's got Theo's book, monthly books tomorrow.
These three gifts seem a lot more fun than like the Walkman and the shoes and stuff. It almost upsets me a bit to like not know which country provided the harem girl. I think it'd be funniest if it was like one you didn't expect, like it was like Luxembourg or something. Like the ambassador from Luxembourg just turns up with this harem girl, and like it's like, oh, sorry, it's a re-gift. Someone from Saudi gave me this girl, and it's a re-gift. You take her. They're like, no, can't take her. So now she's just stateless, I guess. She's abandoned.
Yeah. So this reminds me of a Navy bit, weirdly, of a goat that got gifted to an RN ship out in theatre, like in the Persian Gulf, and they had to take it because it's obviously incredibly rude to deny the gift. Then they had to figure out what to do with this fucking goat once they got it on board, and I think they ended up taking it to like some kind of goat sanctuary somewhere else. But the whole thing of like gifting stuff that you don't want and then having to deal with it afterwards is like a huge thing, like in the Middle East. There's a camel sanctuary in Bahrain purely because the Saudi government gifted a bunch of camels to Bahrain and they didn't know what the fuck to do with them.
Sort of like sanctuary, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we'll just keep them. I guess we'll just keep them alive,
Yeah.
and we'll let people ride them. I guess.
Yeah. God, thanks, man. Cool, awesome. Thanks,
Yeah.
thanks for the camels.
It's right. You can imagine that you get like these are the ones you like, aren't they? This is the one you wanted. Oh yes, these are the camels, man. Yeah, thank you. 2 humps better than 1 hump. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Yeah. Thanks, dude. It's big fun. And meanwhile, like the ambassador from Bahrain's got like a load of Rolexes that he's going to give the guys from Saudi, and he's like, "I forgot your present, dudes. I'm so sorry, man. Sorry, boys."
Yeah, man. Then the search party arrives, and Tom, once again, like thinking on his feet, spills a load of coffee on himself so that he can angrily storm off to his office and get changed, where he has his second outfit change yet back into more Trop 3s in the same day, because he got changed after the foot chase. Now he's getting changed after the coffee incident.
Yeah.
But he goes in there, hides in the ceiling.
Yes.
Under the tiles, and a bunch of guys come in and look for him. And there's that classic thing you see in movies all the time, where you see the guy looking out of a really obvious opening in the ceiling, but nobody spots him.
Yeah, that seemed a bit unbelievable.
Ridiculous. The next thing that happens is Sam then calls Pritchard and grasses on Tom, which is a bit bad. Obviously, snitches get stitches, and Sam gets some pretty epic stitches. So he gets invited to a little secret meeting in some sort of underground gymnasium in the Pentagon, which seems a bit unnecessary, but apparently there is one. And then he explains what he knows about Tom to Pritchard, and Pritchard shoots him for it. And I think and obviously, like, it seemed like a bit of a crazy thing to do, but I guess this is to demonstrate the point that Pritchard's got a gun, right?
Yeah. It also speaks to how much Pritchard's losing his grip of the situation. He's becoming increasingly unhinged as the film goes on. He starts out being this very kind of, he's dispassionate when he needs to be, when he's doing like the crime scene cleanup at Susan's house. He's incredibly dispassionate and he's incredibly detached from it. This may well be the first time he's cleaned up a dead woman's house while a murdered body is still there, but he's very dispassionate about it. However, by this point in the film, he's dripping with fucking flop sweat, and he is just beyond the edge at this point. And you've got
to imagine he's a civil servant essentially. Like what he's doing now is sort of seeping into like organized crime and racketeering almost. Like this isn't his milieu. This is like way out of his bounds.
Exactly.
He is the kind of guy who writes like a zesty memo and is like, "Whoa, oh my god, man, that felt good. I can't believe I said that.
Yeah,
but yeah, I did it." And it was just like didn't say "hope you're well" at the start of the email. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, or like finishing an email but happy to discuss in person.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Power move. That's the kind of thing that he does. Yeah. Happy to discuss. Yeah, absolutely.
In person,
I bet he's happy to discuss a few people.
But at this point, it's like look, everything's broken down within him now. He can no longer kind of compartmentalize what's going on. He can no longer kind of tell himself everything's going to be okay. You know, he's lost in the source. He's lost in it.
He's lost in the source. He's too online. He's lost the context.
Yeah.
And now you've got like Tom and Pritchard are now like both at the same kind of point. They're both going a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's stir crazy. They're both kind of trapped in the Pentagon at this point.
Yeah.
So it's weird. Then we go to we get another cut to the printer. Jesus Christ. And we get some more gifts. So it's partially obscured, but I think it's Melanie Rathspawn is gifted a tweed coat and some slacks, which is a bit odd.
Yeah.
And then finally we get David Bryce, gold jewelry box. And he grabs that printout. This is it. This is his smoking gun. And he's intending now to take it to Bryce and show Bryce the printout fucking got you. Just as that happens, the El Salvador Death Squad spooks arrive.
Yeah.
And then we have foot chase number 2 inside the Pentagon. Rory, our foot chase correspondent, what have you got to say?
So basically, with this scene, again, it's in a similar vein to the car chase scene, and what follows it. You do see a little bit more of the personalities and one specific trait of the goons again, and it's basically when they get them into the stairwell, and now they've got them. And you see. Obviously, this is like this is kind of pretty quick and to the point, quite well shot, quite well edited chase scene. I think it's quite funny how goon number 2, Chris D, clearly almost runs into the camera at one point. Again, you've got that kind of strange gait and his run that he does, which more I think about it, he may be trying to kind of slow himself down because he's a big, tall dude. He's quite lean. I wonder if there was an issue with him maybe kind of getting a bit too close to Kevin Costner, maybe potentially outrunning him kind of thing, You've got this kind of nice, quite sloppy-ish scene on the stairs when one of the goons falls over when he's running, and then obviously you get Tom Farrell takes out goon number 1 with the fire extinguisher out of the face, which would definitely kill him, right? Yeah. And that's definitely killed him. You don't see the guy again, so he's dead. He's been connected to God's Wi-Fi. He's done. But then the most telling thing that really, really, really just underlines the quality of people that these Contras are is that Contra 2 gets his hands on Tom Farrell. And at this point, he doesn't pull out a pistol to kill him. He doesn't pull out anything that's a purpose-built weapon. He's straight in there with a click-clack, the fucking straight razor's coming out. He pulls out a fucking cutthroat razor and immediately begins to just evil him with it. And it's like, I love that this just shows the degeneracy of these guys. It's like I can imagine a writer's room and they're saying, what kind of weapons this guy got? And someone says, oh, maybe he pulls on some brass knuckles. And someone's like, no, this guy's a real sicko. He's a freak. And yeah, it works so well because he is a sicko. He is a freak. You see him fucking bodily push a man off a escalator. He's the driving force. He's the intimidating one who's fucking staring Tom in the eyes at the metro scene. And his peak in the film of just sicko sadism is when just no hesitation. He's in the middle of one of the world's biggest buildings, in the middle of the beating heart and thinking brain of America's defense apparatus, and he's gonna fucking kill a man with a cutthroat razor because he doesn't give a shit. Because he spent the last couple of years, like I said, in the global south, killing communists. It's like you kill a communist for fun, But for X amount of dollars, you'll cut him up real nice.
Yeah, man. You gotta think this guy's been training people how to decapitate people in fucking horrendous massacres. So his moral center is way off.
And he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna whip out this friggin'. Who's carrying a cutthroat razor? It's not an efficient weapon to kill someone quickly. Yeah.
It's a torture device, isn't it?
It's for torture or it's for killing someone real slow, real fucking slow. Obviously, it's not something that you can use to quickly and efficiently strike an organ that's got a lot of vital blood vessels in it. I guess you could make the argument that you can use it to kind of cut someone's throat and cause them to catastrophically bleed out that way. But also, it's it's a very sadistic thing to have, and I think it's just brilliant. It's a brilliant choice for the film. It just really underlines the fact that this guy's a real sicko, and I like that. Yeah,
totally agree. So the chase comes to a pretty abrupt stop. They get to the door of the it's the outer office of the defense secretary, where there's security there. Tom punches the guy in the chest, wins him, and he falls down, and he orders the guards to arrest him, which they do. And then
he kicks him in the ball.
Which went remarkably smoothly for him, because like if he's the one getting chased, you think they would arrest him, but then he's just like, I outrank you, arrest him instead. This guy in plainclothes, and that just works. And then he barges his way.
Kicks him in the balls as well.
You can't see the confusion on that poor sergeant's face.
But, relatable. Like, fucking officers, gay. What are they like? Oh, don't talk to me, mate. I work for a living. Yeah. All this 50 minutes before handover. Fuck's sake.
The fucking paperwork this is going to generate.
Somebody got the evidence kit. Where's the evidence kit? Oh, God, I can't remember the safe combo for the evidence kit. Oh, man. Yeah. Looking ridiculous. So, Tom barges through. The outer office is like, you can't go in there. You can't go in there. He barges in. She follows him in. Like, what is she going to do? But he whips up the printout, and he says to Bryce, like, I know you connected with Susan. Look at this, the jewelry box. Do you remember this jewelry box? And he's like, I don't remember any jewelry box. Well, the Department of Protocols have got it here. I was like, I didn't declare it to the Department of Protocols, which means what we actually saw earlier on was him inputting the data into the database and then asking it to get printed. And then he demands for the search to be called off. And then the Major comes in, who earlier on in the movie, by the way, the Major refers to Tom as Sir and takes an order from him. They are both the same rank. A Major is an OF3, a Lieutenant Commander is an OF3, so he shouldn't have been calling him Sir. Anyway, that aside, he comes in and tells him that Sam has been murdered. And then Pritchard comes in. And then he thins out the Major in a really obviously shady way. He's like, that's great. Well, you just keep up the search. You just get back to your search. Thanks for that. You're doing a real good job. You're doing a real bang up job. Off you fuck. And then he says, look, Tom is the man that saw you at Miss Atwell's. He was at Miss Atwell's. Therefore, Tom must have killed at Miss Atwell. And therefore, we know that Miss Atwell was with Yuri. Therefore, Tom is Yuri. Quod erat demonstrandum. And then in response to that, Tom bangs him out.
Brilliant.
Reasonable thing to do. But then Pritchard pulls his gun out and then declares, you have no idea what men of power can do. Which I think is opposite in the current political climate. And then actually they have a bit of a tussle, and then Bryce steps in, and this is the only time in the movie he shows any kind of contrition for his just general demeanor. And he says that he admits that his actions were inexcusable. But then it becomes really clear during this that he's going to sell Pritchard out and not Tom, because he knows that Pritchard's killed Sam. There'll be evidence that leads back to Sam probably. So he thought, well, I'll just two birds, one stone. I'll just have him be Yuri as well. But then he starts apologetically saying, like, I'll get you the very best lawyers. It'll be done all properly, I'll get you the best lawyers. And then Bryce is selling it to Tom at the same time. He's like, he was fiercely jealous of Susan. A man like that, you understand? Obviously hinting at his gayness. Again, hasn't aged badly well.
That bit especially, Yeah.
And then another thing that doesn't age well during this is that there becomes a bit of a clamoring kind of sort of tussle going on. And at one point, Pritchard very tenderly tries to put both his hands on Bryce's cheeks and pleads, David. And then Bryce bats him away. It's like, get your hands off me. And it's all a very homophobic. And then David reaches for his gun while Pritchard reaches for a gun while Tom and Bryce are having this big argument, and then he's like, David, and everyone turns to look at him, and then he just dooms himself, which is obviously like a callback to how he would lay down his life to save Bryce's life earlier on, but it's fucking nuts. And then just at that moment, CID, who were probably standing outside the door this entire time, burst in, and then they see Pritchard dead. And then they immediately pin it on him. He's Yuri. That's it. Job done. And then another little great bit is, so Tom's like, right, I fucking had enough of this. Even though clearly what's meant to happen now is like hours of debriefing. He just storms out. He gets the printout. And for the final time, he bitches off his little subby and tells him to deliver it to Marshall at the CIA. And then he storms off. We finally get a bit of conclusion on the generative AI, and we see the complete photo, and yeah, it is Tom, but it actually doesn't match from when we saw the photo get taken in the scene where the photo was taken. So in the picture here, he's got his hands up by the sides of his face. If you listen for the shutter in the scene earlier, he's like looking off to the left, so it doesn't make any sense. And then finally, we see Tom, and he's gone off to sit in a secluded little patch of wood on his own, and then two big burly men who we assume are US intelligence operatives of some kind come and fetch him. And then we go back to the scene that we had at the beginning in this house. And he's being interrogated, and then we get back to the part where he's it pretty much picks up from where they left off. He's up against the two-way mirror, and he's like, right, when's this guy going to come out then? And then he does, and it's ethnically ambiguous landlord. And then he starts speaking Russian, and then so does Tom start speaking Russian, and then they talk about Dostoevsky and Tolstoy, and he talks about Solzhenitsyn, and then and he wants him to come back to Russia, and you must miss Russia, and then he's like, actually, shit mate, I don't miss Russia. Russia's shit. I really like hamburgers. I'm a corn-fed Iowa boy. I'm staying here in the US, even though my name is Yevgeny. And then he goes to storm out the house. And the two big burly guys are like, go to pull a gun on him and kill him. But ethnically ambiguous landlord goes, no, let him go. Besides, where else has he to go? And then he drives his car away. And that's the fucking end of the movie. Like, the end. Yeah. He just drove away. He was a Russian all along. Which, I mean, isn't a surprise to listen to this podcast because we've been talking about it for like 4 hours. But like, at the time, it's like, whoa, what? Like when he starts,
whoa!
Because like when he starts talking Russian, and it's like in big chunky subtitles, like on the film, it's freaking amazing. It's like, oh my god, what the hell? And he's like, it's pretty convincing accent. I obviously don't speak Russian, but fucking nuts. So that was the end of the movie. I mean, like, what do you think?
Excellent, absolute cinema,
absolute kino. You know, it's sexy, it's horny, it's got thrills, it's got spills, it's got some really weird technology stuff in there. It's got some really weird messaging about the CIA, about military procurement, about the military-industrial complex more broadly, about the intelligence apparatus of the country. It's just what the fuck, and it's Reagan. It's pure Reagan. It's absolutely a big '80s movie, you know.
Yeah,
it's tremendous. Cool. Any final thoughts on the movie before we take a break and then go into our categories?
Right. So I don't know if it's that crazy actually, but as Yuri, as a Russian spy within the US military, Tom's actions sort of speak towards, hear me out here, mixed kind of allegiances when you think about it, because as a spy within the US military, the smartest thing he could have done would be to allow the Secretary of Defense to get away with killing quote unquote Yuri. You know, allowing Pritchard to be identified as Yuri, which then means Yuri is destroyed, which means the real Yuri can work without any kind of impingement. He can work a lot easier, you know. However, he has said that he wants to remain in America. You know, he's not that fucking into being for the Russians anymore, I guess. However, he's also acting to essentially remove the Secretary of Defense from power by passing on the evidence that he did in fact kill Susan. So this will then lead to the SecDef being removed, which will then lead to probably this ridiculous monster sub project not being killed, and the US wasting a significant amount of money, resources, manpower, and possibly becoming weaker on the world stage when pitted against the Soviet Union. I think that it's just interesting to me, like nothing perfectly adds up with the outcomes from this, you know?
Yeah, man. Like, so the fact that they got rid
Yeah.
of the Yuri, for me, is a bit of a green light to crack on
Well, yeah.
and do what they were doing. But the handler at the
Yeah.
end is like, oh my god, they're
Yeah.
on to Yuri. It's too hot. We've got to pull you
Crazy,
out. And it's like,
because
well, no,
they've just
the guy just fucking
exactly,
killed
because I
himself.
mean they've got an excellent kind of way through this. You know, Yuri's dead, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. You know, and with the kind of political climate at the time, you just know they'd be pinning like extra stuff on Pritchard as well. Like a significant amount of Iran Contra would be pinned on Pritchard. You know, the whole bungling of the rescue of Iranian hostages. Pritchard, he was involved. Pritchard did everything, man. You know.
He had his finger
Yeah,
in all the pies.
Yeah. He shot
He was on the
JFK,
balcony.
you know.
I heard that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I think nobody's shot JFK. I think JFK's head just did that.
But yeah, so I think that I don't know, like the ending, it's like it's kind of oddly ambiguous, as you say, because they're trying to pull him back, but it's the best position. He's just the big American hero, you know. He's now closer to the Secretary of Defense than ever before if he just leans into it and says, "We certainly got rid of Yuri, didn't we?" Wink, wink. You know. Yeah.
It's weird. And his handler says he's a hero of the Soviet Union at the end as well. So it's not like he's fallen out of favour back home. They just want to pull him back home for some reason. It doesn't make any sense.
It's baffling to me why they want to pull him home. And I mean, I'm sure there's, I mean, there's surely you could do an insanely deep dive for the reasons of why they want to pull him home. Maybe they think he's acted somehow incorrectly. Maybe they felt that he fell in love with Susan. You know, oh, you shouldn't do that. You know, you meant to honeypot this woman. You're not meant to fall in love with her. Maybe that was what it was. You know, or maybe he was getting too good. Maybe they wanted to take him home for hero of the Soviet Union medal and then a nice cup of polonium laced tea. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done his job now, hasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he's done his job. He's been useful. They saw him eating bugs off a window. They thought, man, you bring us down, dude.
He's gone too far.
Yeah. But no, so yeah, that was that was my little like kind of weird just kind of take on it, that like not everything aligns perfectly with one side's end game. But I don't know. That's me.
Cool. Sonia, have you got any reflections on your final takes of the film?
This is obviously hindsight, but I have been very oblivious to the whole Yuri subplot. So really, still, even at the final end, the whole Tom is really ego from Central Russia thing still took me somewhat by surprise.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like the first time I saw it, I didn't catch like any of the clues apart from I when he's in the payphone and he's having that one way call. I remember thinking like, who's he calling? Like, who's he friends with? And I suppose we're meant to think maybe he's talking to Marshall at the CIA, and maybe that's why he also gives the scene where he bitches off the sub-lieutenant to take that printout to him as well. So where that backs that up a little bit, but it's evident. I think it's evident at the end. It's the landlord guy who's his handler.
Yeah, it just all the weird panicking he does in between still works if you just see it as him trying not to get pinned for a murder.
It's like it's like proper Richard Kimball and The Fugitive, kind of like constant head on a swivel, constantly trying to evade detection.
100%. The payphone scene, I think, is really good because the film doesn't do a lot of, at that point, storytelling to make you assume who he's calling. It just presents you with really the evidence that he's making this phone call. I remember because I did like watch that particular part of the film twice because I was making a few notes on it, and yeah, the film doesn't implicitly say, "Oh, he's calling Marshall, he's calling someone else." He doesn't have that many people in his life at this point that he's going to call, especially not from a fucking payphone.
Yeah, we don't see any broader life. And now that we know that everything that happened in the movie was him doing work, we don't see any of his inner life. We don't see anything at all. Like everyone's is part of the job. Yeah, I think it's a pretty well put together screenplay. To build that much ambiguity into it without it feeling like it's hiding information from you. Like it's not. Obviously, he's on the phone to somebody. We don't hear the other side of the conversation. Yeah, but like throughout the rest of the movie, his motivations read equally well for being an innocent man, which he is in some respects. He didn't kill Susan, but an innocent man just trying to get to the bottom of this cover up. Or on the flip side, you watch it a second time, and yeah, it's a spy trying to avoid his cover getting blown, and they both read exactly the same. Cool. Right, should we take a break there, and then we'll come back into categories? Let's do it. Right, cool. Let's start with the categories then. The first category I've got, and these might change as we go forward, man. But casting. Don't get me wrong. There's a much more famous movie podcast that does these, and we are definitely copying their format. So the first one here is casting. I've written stars and that guys, and here it is. What ifs. So the only one I've got for this, having looked at did some internet research, was Patrick Swayze and Mel Gibson both turned down the role for Tom Farrell. And I think in either of those situations, they would have been really different movies. I would have killed to have seen the Patrick Swayze cut.
I would have especially loved to have seen the Patrick Swayze cut, but only if Pritchard could have delivered the "I used to fuck guys like you in prison" line from Roadhouse.
From Roadhouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would have been epic. Yeah.
I don't think Mel Gibson would have been able to pull off the ambiguity. He seems too fucking mean to do that.
I think Kevin Costner shows the right amount of vulnerability in this film. Like you see him getting a bit shirty, a bit moody, a bit like upset at his relationship with Susan. And he gets a bit immature with it as well when he's like a bit of a huff, you know what I mean? I think it's a good bit of nuanced acting by him, and I don't think Mel Gibson could have pulled that off. And yeah, I mean, I think if there was like about 5 times as many Duckman kicks and stuff, Swayze could have nailed it. I mean, don't get us wrong, Patrick Swayze's but don't get us wrong, Patrick Swayze's a good actor as well. He's done some really good roles, but he's not my guy for this unless Tom Pritchard can say, "I used to fuck guys like you in prison." Just at the whole end scene, instead of shooting himself, he just goes, "I used to fuck guys like you in prison," and then Patrick Swayze just tears his throat out, just like in Roadhouse.
Yeah. And then the CID rush in, and then Gene Hackman immediately says, "He tore his own throat out."
He was saying some crazy stuff about he didn't want to go back to prison, then he tore his own throat out.
He's
I used to fuck guys like you in Gulag.
That's amazing. The other one I have is that Michelle Pfeiffer turned down the role for Susan Atwell as well, which that would have been a very different part, I think, if she'd taken it. She's right. There's something. I mean, right. So Sean Young is a beautiful woman, but there's something about her where you can believably see the naivety that she kind of displays later in the movie, through the fact that she seems like she's kind of landed in this position where she's with this powerful man, and she's got this other hot Navy guy that she actually loves, and she's like a little giddy schoolgirl. Like it's almost like she's not used to the attention. Whereas I think Michelle Pfeiffer wouldn't be able to pull that off. Like it would just be a bit like, why have you not had that attention before? Is there something wrong with you? Like what's going
on? I think you're definitely right there. It would be a completely different film with Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm struggling to find anyone really mentally now who I am struggling to think of someone who could have had that weird. She's got weird energy, like she's got kind of like she's an absolute pistol. She's got this strange, too energetic energy. She's got a lot going on. She's the kind of woman that if you went on a date with her, there'd be like a 60% chance of the night being totally destroyed somehow. She's volatile, but she's also decent with it. She's definitely a bit damaged, and she in herself is as a person ultimately doomed. For her, there really is no way out because she's playing with fire. She's going to get burned. She's getting involved with these men of power who don't want to share the women. And the sad thing is, she's a doomed character really from the start. She's going to get eroded and torn apart by this world that she's put herself in, and it's fucking sad, man.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens to her. There's a version of this movie where we see a lot more of her character, and it's told from maybe a bit more from her perspective. I mean, it probably wouldn't have worked, but you get that maybe there's like one scene missing where she talks about her past with Tom and like the guards down. You know, maybe like during the Dirty Weekend, she's like, she has like one kind of weird, ethereal kind of pillow talk moment where she talks about how she doesn't believe this is all real, and then she's got to go back to DC tomorrow, and it's all going to be back to how it was, kind of thing. There's like a scene like that missing, I think, to really round her out. But yeah, that's it. That's casting. Right. Okay. Best quote of the movie. Have you guys got any quotes that you particularly like from the movie? I have one.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. So mine's amazing. So you might not have seen it in the YouTube cut, but there's a moment just before. It's during the chaotic phone and Polaroid picture scene where where Susan is like lining up to give fellatio to Tom, and you see her like caressing his sort of crotch area, and then the camera pans up to Tom, and then you just hear her talking, and she says, "It looks like a baboon trapped in a closet at midnight." referring to
I love that. No, I have not seen that part of the incredibly Baudelarized, redacted, sliced up YouTube cut. Bastards.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's the best. It's her best line by a country mile, but she's got some great lines. And then fun little fact that goes with that as well is that the generative AI picture when they're showing you the training tape, when they're introducing the concept, that is a baboon.
And this is actually sliding into one of my favorite quotes, which is, "Computers don't think. If we programmed this to come out a car instead of a monkey, you'd be looking at a hairy Buick." It's just what a great line. It's brilliant. And like I said, it plays to Sam as a bit of a kind of quirk lord, funny, interesting, kind of quirky forensics guy, you know? It's like probably one of the beginnings of that trope of character. But I love it. Computers don't think. If you programmed this to come out the car instead of a monkey, you'd be looking at a hairy Buick. I said, yes, no notes. 0 notes, 100%. And just the sight gag as well, because of course the camera's looking at the very boldly coloured fucking. It's not a gibbon, is it? My voice broke there. It's not a gibbon, is it? It's
No, it is
It's
a baboon.
There we go. It's just like this like fucking baboon, and baboons just make scenes 10 times funnier. And yeah, it's the hairy Buick for me.
I love it. Sanya, have you got a favorite quote at all?
This is horribly underwhelming, but just the whole absurdity of the second foot chase culminating in that absolutely confused Marine guard and that kick in the crotch, and then the if you
Yes,
resist, shoot him.
I love it. If you resist, shoot him. I love it.
Oh, brilliant.
It's just so weird because it's just gone from being the fugitive to, oh look, I've got a rank slide on and it's bigger than yours, and suddenly he's back in charge, and he uses that to just bring out that one sentence.
You're absolutely right. That is a textbook deployment of rock paper rank slides.
Amazing. It is so good. And it's just that little kind of comic timing that he pauses for a beat and then he's like, shoot him, like if there's just shoot him, and it's a great comic scene. And then of course he's kicking him in the balls as well, which is brilliant, and it injects some comedy into the film, which then obviously then goes into a scene when an incredibly angry, scorned gay man blows his own brains out inside a Pentagon office. So you need a bit of light before the darkness. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So my next category was needle drops. There weren't really any in the movie. All we had was the really awkward cover of "If You Think I'm Sexy" and those two Paul Anka songs that I'm sure we'll all hear when we go to hell. Nothing else. Nothing else there. And then we've got some.
I liked about the opening theme is, you notice just when Sean Young's name appears on screen, there's this like big like synth like kind of thing, and it's almost as if the composer's saying, "Yeah, remember her? She was the robot girl in that film. Yeah, Blade Runner. Yeah, Too bad she won't live." Yeah, I felt that was too perfect and not being put in there when it's like, "Bwam, remember Blade Runner from a few years ago, guys? Too bad she won't live."
Hey, I think there's weight to that as well, because Jesus, what's his name again? Michelle Jar? Is that? Well, that's not right. It's 2 seconds. It is
Maurice Jar. Yeah,
Maurice Jar. Sorry, Maurice Jar. He also did the score for Witness, and the Witness soundtrack sounds quite a lot like the Vangelis score from Blade Runner. I did check when I was watching it. I thought, this is Vangelis, and it's not. It's Maurice Jar. So same composer. Cool. Right. So I've got some IMDb trivia. So there's quite a lot for this movie. I've narrowed it down to the ones that I think are broadly interesting and that we haven't already talked about. So. Sean Young said in an interview that she was fine being naked in certain scenes, but Kevin Costner, who was dressed, was very nervous about her being nude, which I totally get. And then Sean Young also said in interviews that director Roger Donaldson made her lift her shirt in an audition to show him her tits.
That's
which is
incredibly fucked up. That's like,
yeah.
I mean, it's like would you kind of joke about Sean Young being a bit crazy and like a bit of like a real life. I mean, Sean Young does, from what I've read, Sean Young's got at least a few kind of Susan-esque qualities IRL, but she's obviously had a shit run of it. I mean, I mean, if you're being told things like, get your tits out, it's shitty. It's absolute bullshit. And I'm not here for it being done to people,
Indeed. Next little fact. We've already talked about that. Hang on. Next little fact. A lot of people say that this is Brad Pitt's first movie role as an extra, but because of the guy in the opening function, there's a guy in the background who looks a lot like Brad Pitt, but it can't be Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt was way too young at this time. He was like he plays. I think he did a movie the same year, and he played like a convincing teenager. And the guy we see is like, 30-year-old looking Brad Pitt, and he's barely in focus as well. Another cool fact: the movie's original title was going to be "Finished with Engines," which is a naval term, which essentially means that it means what it says. You get alongside, you shut everything down, and you order "Finish with mid-engines," and then which permits the engineers to bring them offline, and then you give them a notice period. So, like, finish with mid-engines, take all main machinery to 12 hours notice for sea, something like that. It's a shit name for a film, and it makes no sense in this movie whatsoever.
There's like 3 minutes of shit in there.
Ridiculous. But it does make me wonder have you got any ideas what would be a better name for this movie? One of the ones I thought of was when they're yelling about. You have no idea what Men of Power can do.
Men of Power,
maybe.
Yeah, Men of Power.
I can't think of another one. I feel like there might have been one somewhere in there. Like it's like the kind of movie where they say the name of the movie.
Harry Buick and the Phantom Submarine. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. Cool. I got a couple more. We can edit these out if they're gash. A couple more. So Kevin Costner and Gene Hackman were both considered for the leading roles in The Fugitive. Obviously went to Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. And No Way Out. This is a good one. No Way Out is one of 2 movies in which Gene Hackman plays a US politician who kills his mistress in a fit of rage. The other is Absolute Power, the Clint Eastwood movie, where he's the president and he kills his mistress. Yeah.
Yeah,
so, that's a pretty funky one.
I would have liked to have seen what.
Oddly specific.
Yeah,
no,
just to kind of imagine what the situation would be if The Fugitive did star Kevin Costner and Gene Hackman, and we had the cast of The Fugitive put in a No Way Out. Do you think that would you believe Tommy Lee Jones in the Secretary of Defense role and Harrison Ford in the role of Tom / Yuri?
I would believe Harrison Ford. I think. I don't think I'm not sure I believe Tommy Lee Jones, just because I like Tommy Lee Jones too much, and I don't see him being a slimy politician that well. He seems like too much of a. He seems like too much of a straight shooter to be. Like a slimy asshole.
He's an absolute straight shooter. I agree with you. He's got too much of the Wild West lawman about him to be kind of believable as an incredibly slimy politician. I think that's always going to be with him. Jude was just his essence, like he's very much a good guy. I couldn't buy him as like a slimeball politician who kills his mistress. But I could definitely imagine. I could definitely imagine Harrison Ford as Yuri / Tom, and of course Harrison Ford did go on to play another guy involved in espionage who has a good Irish American name, because of course, Dr. Jack Ryan. Because of course, you've got Jack Ryan, Tom Farrell, 2 good Irish American names that aren't too Irish American. You know what I mean? They haven't got an O at the start of them, but they're still a good, solid Irish American name.
Yeah, man. Right, should we do some notes from the Peanut Gallery, which is where we look through Letterboxd and see some of the funny reviews from Letterboxd.
I'm not going to be calling out people's names and stuff, so I want to kind of look at this person's opinion. One user says 3.5 stars and just the word horny in all capitals. A great one here. Yeah,
they're not wrong.
Tapping my hand on this movie like the trunk of a car. Look how many Cold War anxieties we can fit in this bad boy. They don't make them like this anymore. 3 stars. We have screamed at the final twist. It has no bearing on the rest of the movie. Incredible stuff. Also, Kevin Costner charms his way into Sean Young's heart by pretending to eat bugs off her car windshield. I don't think he's pretending, man.
I don't think he's pretending.
Yeah, he's
I'm
not
sure you see one.
pretending. He's not joking. He's serious about eating those fucking bugs, man. Kevin Costner eats bugs, all capitals, out of a moving car's windshield for no good reason. Block capitals, those last 4 words. Did cinema peak in 1987? Question mark. 4 stars. I think it absolutely did. A very, very to the point one, which is a pretty horny review of a horny film. So good. Costner slim and sexy. Gene Hackman in scumbag mode. Will Patton out of control in every scene. He really is out of control in every scene. Need more movies like this. I agree with this review, definitely. Scumbag mode, Gene Hackman's brilliant, and Patton is out of control in every.
That is absolutely spot on.
That's a great assessment.
And scumbag Gene Hackman is a character we're going to see loads of times in loads of movies. He's an absolute master at playing the scumbag. You know, you see it in Runaway Jury, you see it in The Firm, you see it in name a Gene Hackman movie. Yeah, French Connection. I watched Night Moves recently, and he's amazing in that. And he's not even that much of a scumbag in that, but he's got scumbag tendencies.
And I've got a great one here. I need a friend I can kick out of their own apartment to have sex on their bed with a complete stranger. I guess I'll start by actually having sex first and then work my way up. 4 stars. Excellent. There's
an amazing review.
Yeah. There's a kind of long one here that I won't read read all of it, but its opening beat is good. We need more protagonists kicking other dudes in the dick where it's not played for laughs. It's not played for laughs. It's funny, but it's like kind of funny unintentionally.
It's the first move of the dramatic climax of the film. It's like it cues you in that shit's about to go down. This man's been kicked in the penis. Things about to get real.
I have a 2.5 star that's quite scary here. Actually, I don't know if it's scathing or kind of damning with faint praise or praising with faint damnation. Kevin Costner fucks and drinks and runs a lot. Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman. Come on, Rory, do it for America. Gene Hackman looks like a thumb that got stuck in a car door.
That's horrible. The man's dead.
And Sean Young waves pussy around some fancy DC ballrooms. Turbo fucking stupid. That's a scathing review, but it's fucking funny. Good grief. I will now read that again now I've got it out of my system. Kevin Costner fucks and drinks and runs a lot. Oh God! I can't do it. I'm sorry. It's like thumb that got stuck in a car door. It doesn't make sense. He has no thumb-like qualities. He doesn't have any thumb-like qualities.
He's just
in my opinion.
Is he not just? He might just. Is he a little bit red in some of the movie? I don't know. That's all it is.
Right. Yes, I am sorry.
Oh God, you've got one more.
I do have a really good one. Again, this one's kind of horny. I like watching Kevin Costner run around in his little white uniform. Sorry, I'm losing my voice because I'm laughing so much. I like watching Kevin Costner run around in his little white uniform. 3 stars.
That's one of my favourite genres of movie is men running around in their little white uniforms.
Oh, good grief, boys. I did not think the notes from the peanut gallery would have been that destructive. But that was great stuff.
That's awesome. Should we do the next one?
Yeah, that's agree.
Okay. Right, so next category is a one I come up with, which is most likely course of action, / most dangerous course of action. which is a military terminology for what you think your opposing force is most likely to do, and what is the worst case scenario, what they could do. Applied to this movie, what's Lieutenant Commander Farrell's ML Kua, and MD Kua. So I think his my personal opinion is his most likely course of action is he goes back to work, but he's obviously finished spying for the Soviet Union, so he puts in his notice and he leaves, and then he just bums around Iowa, and then he eventually hears a voice and then builds a baseball diamond in the back of his farm, and then he goes and travels around the country befriending various people who are tangentially related to the sport of baseball, including the J.D. Salinger of that particular fictional universe. The most dangerous course of action, on the other hand, is Lieutenant Commander Farrell returns to work, but he remains a Soviet asset until the dissolution of the Soviet Union, at which point he's approached by the burgeoning FSB and asked to remain as a sleeper agent, which he does for the next sort of 20 years. And then finally he strikes from a senior position within the US Naval Intelligence construct, probably at an OF5 level, to derail the war in Iraq following 9/11, at which point Captain Tom Farrell, USN, preempts the GCHQ whistleblower and leaks damning intelligence reports of falsifying reports on weapons of mass destruction to discredit the US on the world stage.
I can absolutely see that happen. That's brilliant. That's excellent.
The next category is most egregious oversell of the military-industrial complex. This category is about which part of the movie implies a significantly higher level of capability than any current armed forces possesses. Good examples of this in the movie Executive Decision. There's a stealth fighter that can link to the bottom of a 747 jet, and part of the heads-up display in the stealth fighter is a perfect wireframe of the plane that's approaching. How the fuck does it do that? That technology, I don't think exists. Well, it does now, but it's optically, and in the movie, it's meant to be radar. Okay, cool. In this case, I think it's actually pretty honest about the state of military procurement and suitably nihilistic about the Phantom Sub. So there isn't really any egregious oversell. I think it's a pretty accurate sell.
One. It's projecting the false idea that we have the ability to keep up a forward lookout in gale force.
Oh yeah. So the most egregious oversell is the Officers of Watch is poor decision making. The egregious oversell is that US Navy Officers of the Watchers can navigate.
Yes.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, there's no real overselling here. It doesn't go into the kind of almost speculative fiction that you see some techno thrillers go into, when it's like all of a sudden there's one piece of equipment, there's one MacGuffin, there's one component on a ship or part of a vehicle, like you said, had a display or something, or one particular weapon that's just not fucking real and not believable. It's very grounded. It's not really a film that relies on it to do much of its storytelling apart from the investigative things and the operations center. So yeah, it doesn't really oversell anything apart from, I mean, were they really able to use generative AI at that point? Probably were, if they can talk about it. I mean, it's not like they're making up the concept of generative AI and then it's being discovered years later, right? I mean,
probably, yeah. Maybe it's presented in a slightly more efficient way than it is. But yeah, that's a fair one. But yeah,
I'm not even sure that it is, because I mean, because even then they do present it in a kind of, this is going to take a long fucking time, you know. It's not like zoom in, enhance, magnify 5,000 times. My God.
Yeah, that's true. And pictures have been doctored.
But so yeah, it's there isn't any really egregious oversell that I can identify that you guys haven't tackled. So yeah.
Cool. My next category is: would this movie be better if it had Dr. Jack Ryan, Dr. Richard Kimball, or President James Marshall (brackets get off my plane) close brackets in the movie?
All three.
All
three.
All three. Yeah. I mean, it would be better if all three of them were it.
Yeah.
I feel that about
because
pretty
we
much
don't
every
see
movie.
the president in this film, right? There you go. Bam.
Right. Yeah. So this is my point, right? So I was going to say, when we hear "Here's the Chief," we should get a quick shot, just like one shot of Harrison Ford for like a split second, and then we see him do a double take at Sean Young, right? And then we just crack on like nothing happened.
Crack on like nothing happened at all. And on the sailing boat scene, they're overtaken by another sailing boat that's got Jack Ryan and Kathy Ryan having a nice chilled out weekend, sailing on by, and
with a little Fora Birch on the forecastle as point lookout.
And then Dr. Richard Kimball. I'm really struggling not to like put that sarcastic doctor at the start of it, like in The Fugitive when Tom Jones says, "You're a fugitive, Dr. Richard Kimball, fucking nerd, this fucking stupid qualification, doctor this bitch," that kind of thing. It's like Dr. Richard Kimball is just checking out of the B&B because at this point he's actually on the run. and he's hidden at the B&B because nobody else is gonna fucking go there and look for him because they're all freaked out by like just the fact that like the shellfish is just full of human feces, man, and manure.
Feces. And he's leaving the B&B, but he's dressed in a colonial garb as well.
He is, man. He's dressed like he's about to. he's dressed like he's about to just join. I almost said George Bush there because I was so tired. He's about ready to join George Washington at fucking Valley Forge. He's dressed in his colonial gear. He's just looking so goddamn extra, man. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
About to go and cross the Pacific.
Fantastic.
Cool. Next, on to the last two categories here. Would this movie have benefited from Lieutenant Commander Samuel L. Jackson, United States Navy, from Patriot Games?
Yes.
My personal opinion, too right it would. Absolutely. So, what should have happened is he should have been exiting the outer office of the Defense Secretary at the same moment that they were running towards it, at which point he would have turned and shot Tom in the head.
It would have been a brutal end to the film, but it would certainly be a gritty one, and certainly in keeping with the film's kind of doomed vibe. When you think about it, I mean, truly for Tom, there would be no way out for Tom.
Doomed and domed.
Or on a serious note, he could have been the major, the army major, who's the other guy.
Yes, the CID guy. He would have been class.
That would have been
very
cool.
good in the role.
Yeah. Okay. I think we already answered the question if this movie is pro or anti-CIA. So I think it's pretty clear it's anti-CIA. But I want to make that a category so we can keep score as we go through these because it's I think it's going to vary wildly. And then next category. Okay, I'm going to call this the Ding Chavez Award for missed opportunity in the movie, referring to how Ding Chavez of Rainbow Six is barely used in Clear and Present Danger, but clearly should have his own series of movies by now. So I've got a few. First of all, during the limo sequence at the beginning, right when it does a smash cut to the Washington Monument, which is Kevin Costner's erect penis. We next then get a shot of the fountain at the World War II Memorial as it blasts off. so to simulate Kevin Costner's ejaculating penis. That's missed opportunity 1. Missed opportunity 2. Tom does not respond to the baboon in a closet comment, and I feel like he should have said something to that.
Yes, he should have.
Because if my wife referred to my penis as a baboon trapped in a closet, I'd like to know what the fuck she was talking about. and then this is my serious one. Okay, so I think we're having the same confrontation at the end of the movie, right? So they're in the Defense Sec's office. Okay, Tom and Bryce are fighting against the wall. Pritchard is about to pick up the gun, and instead of shooting himself in the head, right, he's going to point the gun at Tom, and then who kicks in the door and then shoots Pritchard in the head? The sub-lieutenant.
Yes. Fantastic.
Boom.
Vindication for being pitched off the entire film. Finally he comes in, he zaps him.
Yeah.
Fucking 2 in the chest, 1 in the head. He goes down, and Tom's like, good boy.
Where did you get a gun from? Who gave you a gun? Jesus Christ.
And the sub-lieutenant just keeps shooting.
He goes in, does that, and that's his Ujar written. But unfortunately, he's not eligible for promotion yet because he's not in zone. But never mind. It's good. It's good for the pack anyway. B plus.
We're also
developing.
Okay. So work with me on this one. Work with me right here. He shoots him, but not with a gun. He walks in with that ridiculous fucking ring that the British ambassador gave someone, and he just uses that cat's eye gem in it to just send a searing beam of fucking light that just turns into ash. And he's like, yeah, don't fuck with the silver pence, man.
You know what the film also might have benefited from? The bellhop making off with all the weird clothes.
Oh my god!
Yeah. So like he arrives in the Colonial Guard, but he's leaving in the patent leather shoes and the tweed jacket and slacks.
And he's rescued the harem girl from the evidence room that should be put in. And he's like listening to that Walkman, and like you said, and he's he's doing good. He's got the bulletproof vest. It's been only used once. Battlefield pickup. He's got the cigars. He's smoking one. The harem girl's smoking one.
She's wearing the red kimono with the silver filigree.
Or they could have just showed a storage room shortly that just has a bunch of boxes and the harem girl just standing.
So the very last shot of the movie is a custodian pushing a big cart, and you see it zooms out from the little gold jewelry box, and then he pushes it into like a big room, vast hangar full of crates, and then just rounds a corner, and then dum da da dum dum da da dum dum da da da.
Let's be real. If this film was made like right now, current year, that we could very well have had like a post-credit scene along those lines with a bit of a side gag with all the all the ambassadorial gifts. So yeah, there's wasted opportunity there to have a bit more world building with these gifts. I want to see them in place. But yeah.
Amazing. My final category is command and signals, where I like to try and give call signs to the characters in the movie. I've come up with a few. We'll start with Bryce. Keeping it real basic. Horn dog. No advances on horn dog.
No, but
Lady Killer.
That makes me want to give Susan Hornblower.
So I think we've got fucking Bryce call sign Lady Killer, right?
And then Susan, you said Hornblower.
I dig it.
Yes,
that's better than mine. I was going to call her Crazy Eye, but yeah, I think Hornblower is better. And then Tom, I wrote these immediately after I watched the film. So for me, the last half an hour had been pretty intense, and my one for Tom was just inkjet.
Bugman.
Oh yeah, that I can see that.
He loves a printer. Yeah. Oh, Bugman.
He clearly does.
The bug.
He seems to be willing to jam his fingers deeper into that printer than even into Susan. So,
Toda.
Inkman.
They call me
the fair. It's just standing there caressing endless paper.
Giving a call sign.
Just look at the subtle curves.
Pritchard.
We should do, shouldn't we? I think I think.
Yeah, I do quite like Sunroof because that big fucking hole in his head.
Oh my god. Cool. Well, on that note, I think that's brought us to the end of our first episode, where we've watched No Way Out from 1987, incredible movie starring Kevin Costner. I think that all that remains to say is where you can find us.
We've got a Instagram page, which is Clear and Present Dudes. Search for us on Instagram, you'll find us there. And we'll be putting up invites to our Discord, so you can throw some suggestions of what films you want us to watch next. Send us some abuse. Tell us that we look like a thumb that's been shut in a car door. Well, that sort of stuff.
Cool. Always fun. Always up for some engagement. I'm on Threads and I'm on Blue Sky Social as Mike D2049.
I'm on Twitter as Rory O'Toole. That's Rory spelled Romeo Uniform Alpha Romeo India. It's another good Irish name, but the surname starts with an O, so it's a bit too Irish to be a star player for the CIA in Filmland. These fucking bastards.
Cool. Rory, what's the next movie we're doing?
The next movie we're doing is a very silly one. It is a sci-fi thriller disaster movie called Meteor, starring Sean Connery. It has an absolutely atrocious Rotten Tomatoes rating. It is going to be fun to watch and fun to talk about, and it also features some scenes with a sailing boat. So it's kind of among the same. No, I can't even finish that sentence. It's not in the same league as No Way Out in the slightest, but it's going to be a good laugh, and it's got a fun amount of Cold War paranoia, and it's just going to be a bit of a riot, I'm sure. And I'm sure we're going to find some excellent peanut gallery reviews of it. Hopefully people are lacing into it on Letterboxd, because that's always funny. Shout out to Letterboxd for making like user generated reviews entertaining, by the way.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much, everyone. We'll catch you on the next one, hopefully.
Next time. See ya.